to Wrestling on the Rocks. You got me. I'm at Ref Marsh. You got at Crybaby Clump. You got Clump over there. Clump, say hi.
Hi.
Already.
I don't know what's wrong, guys.
Wasn't expecting that.
That was... Wow. All right. We also got at Kevlar on the Rocks with an X. That's all of our Twitter handles. In case you guys are looking. Kevlar, go ahead and say hey.
What's up, guys? How you doing? My Rockaholics.
So Clump has decided to join us via satellite, it seems, from an empty bunker. He's ready for war times.
Empty bunker.
Cold empty bunker. I can see my breath.
Dude, the last couple shows I had was like in the 90s in the house. I'm like, this is nice. We're good with this.
No. I definitely need to start drinking already. I'm going to go ahead.
Yep.
Let's see what's in everyone's drink. I'm going to have Bullet Bourbon one more time. It's not quite empty, and I feel like today may be the day that we get there. We still don't have... Yeah, it's because the Bullet Club. Not quite a cease and desist or sponsorship as of this time. But, you know, we do with what we got. Kevlar, what are you drinking? What's in your glass?
I'm actually just having a couple Budweisers since Jameson and Crown Royal and Maker's Mark didn't respond.
Yeah, if you don't tweet us back, we will spitefully reject you. That is definitely one of our things. Hey, Clump, are you sweeping?
No.
All right, just checking. I'm just double checking, man.
And the voice.
I can if you want.
No, you're good.
The random voice that you're hearing, guys, is me, producer lady, Michelle.
I was thinking I'd turn on like the Roomba, play some music in the background.
Wow, okay. That's cool.
Well, what's your Twitter handle then?
It's just the Wrestling on the Rocks. That's what I do.
That's what it is, at just the Wrestling on the Rocks?
It's Wrestling on the Rocks.
It's Wrestling on the Rocks. That's your Twitter?
Wrestling on the Rocks.
It's not.
It's our Instagram.
That's our Instagram.
I'll put it up here in a minute.
Okay, well, they can't see anything on the podcast, and this is a podcast. So I'm really glad that you're going to put it on the screen here for the people who are jumping in the chat over here in our Twitch channel. If you guys want to be a part of the show, that's how you do it. You go to twitch.tv/wrestlingontherocks. You put the I in subscribe, and you're going to have to put the yes in notifications if you want to get there in time. Otherwise, you can catch us on podcast. So if you want to be part of the show, that's where we have our chat open for everyone, and you can tell us what you think as we go about it. Otherwise, you might want to go to WrestlingOnTheRocks.com and click the links to find our Twitter, because otherwise you'll have no way to find it, given all the information to be given so far.
WOTR, the show, is our Twitter handle.
Was that nice? Yeah. So WrestlingOnTheRocks.com gives you all of our links under links. That's why I put them there. Made more sense to me that way. It's got our YouTube. We got our new Facebook up for anybody who's looking around. We might start trying to use some Facebook Live, maybe some YouTube Live, and not just be only on Twitch. So we'll see how it goes. How are you guys doing? Clump, we haven't seen or heard from you in weeks, and it's felt like years.
I know. I mean, maybe not long enough, it seems. Could have been longer.
Wow.
Is that because you caught the second night of FyterFest? You were kind of hoping to just dodge the whole thing.
A little bit. I had to watch parts of FyterFest and Great American Bash, and I was not happy with either.
I'm surprised you didn't call in on this one. I'm sick, guys. Can't make it.
Yeah, you just all like, I just don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm done.
Yeah, you were moving into that house. You're pretty burnt out.
It's been a fun process, I don't know if anyone's told you, but renovating and moving into a house sucks.
I know. Yeah. I mean, and plus the bomb shelter.
Oh yeah. But it's 69 degrees. But it's nice.
Of course it is.
Yeah. What temperature is it always? 69.
Yep. That's the temperature that gives back as well.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's good for circulation.
Hey, Clump, what are you drinking?
I have a Trenta iced coffee, and then I have grapefruit sparkling water.
Oh, yeah.
It's from Starbucks. Maybe they'll sponsor us.
Hey, we take that. We'll take that for sure.
Yeah.
Dork Chop's already in the chat. Dork Chop.
Yep. Cheers.
So for everyone who's been listening and keeping up on it, Dork Chop has become affiliate thanks to our large campaign we headed. I would say the videos did very well. All of the signage I put in the front yard, I think, really spoke to the people, and he's made it to affiliate. So congratulations to Dork Chop. Check him out if you get the chance. He plays video games better than I do. You'll also notice anybody who's checking us out, especially on our Twitch, we're going to start gaming here and there, especially as we get ready for 2K Battleground. We also can't get partner without streaming more days than just the one. So our channel is going to be not just this once a week, but also some games as we go. We started Ghostbusters the other night. It's pretty good.
I tried. I tried to play that and it didn't go so well, but...
She did awful, guys. It was great.
Is it like an extension of Conan's Clueless Gamer?
Conan's Clueless Gamer? No, I don't know that. What is that?
You've never seen the Conan O'Brien's segment, Clueless
Oh,
Gamer?
yeah.
No.
That one,
It's pretty amazing.
It was pretty good. All right, well, now we're going to have to check it out and see what's going on. We might have our own version of it.
They put him into Final Fantasy and introduce him to a boss where the fight is multiple days, like real time. And he's just like, what?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Dork Chop
So-
with the Macho Man emotes.
all right, so...
Yep.
I'm gonna do it.
What do you got? What do you got there, Kev? What are you about to say?
I was just going to say, since we're talking about video games, have you guys heard anything about the difference between the regular version of Battleground and the deluxe digital one?
From what I can tell, what I was reading, the deluxe digital version comes with unlockable people you wouldn't get otherwise, like Edge. It looks like Stone Cold. There was one other. It was a female competitor, but it was like you get 3 different.
Well, I saw something about the Attitude Rock as well.
Was it China?
The Rock, China might be
China's
one of them.
one.
Yeah, there was like Attitude Rock, but it was also like you'd get 3 types of the Rock, 3 types of Edge, kind of a deal. I didn't see anything really other than that, except it comes with like in-game coinage for you to buy other stuff. Mm-hmm. I tweeted at them trying to find out if they were going to be doing anything like the collectible boxes that the 2K series was doing before. And I didn't get a response back, but so far as I can tell, it does not look that way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a real dumb question. What the hell is WWE 2K Battlegrounds? Because I have no clue.
You haven't seen any of the commercials for it?
Come on.
Nah, dude. I'm looking it up now. It looks like, is it basically just taking wrestling and make it a bit like more
Arcade-ish.
hype?
What?
Like, so it's just kind of like a wrestling game, but then like turned up to 11.
Oh.
What?
I mean, do you remember the In Your House games
No.
on Super
I'm not that
Nintendo?
old.
Oh.
Super Nintendo came out before I was born.
This is why we don't want Clump on the show.
Clump's trying to get kicked off, dude. He's got a fucking attitude today. He's trying to do this. He comes in
I'm
10
being
minutes.
honest. When did Super Nintendo come out? Like, let's look this up. Super Nintendo. The first game console I had was a Sega Genesis.
Which came out
those were like a year apart.
Yeah, I
Fine.
got that.
We get it.
old.
We get it. You're the youngest one here. Okay.
Did you have the Game Genie? I bet you had a fucking Game Genie, prick.
Nah, N64 was the first console I bought, or got as like that was new. Oh, 1990, 2 years before I was born.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
baby.
Looks like I'm learning some history.
Oh,
It looks like to me.
they had
I like how
electricity then.
Dork Chop's yelling in the chat.
Is he?
It's like
Oh, yeah, there he
out
goes.
at the same time, Clump.
Yeah, they're out at the same time.
Hey, no, don't.
Yeah,
unsubscribe.
Dork Chop's gonna
Don't
unsubscribe
leave
out of this
Clump on the
anger.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clump, you're gone.
Yeah, if it's between Door Chop and Clump. Yeah, starting next week, Door Chop. So,
Whoa, they
So-
had electricity then.
yeah, a little bit of plumbing, mostly holes in the ground. So, the thing to me that 2K Battleground really looks like is it looks like it's bringing arcade games back to the console. Like, it really looks like it looks like a button masher with a joystick to just go hog wild and beat people up and do cool moves and see nice graphics, but it doesn't look to me like it's going to be as serious of a game as 2K with all these complex story modes and impossible submission tasks and do this move in this order and objective-based fighting with specific, key commands where you're not going to move forward in the story. It doesn't look to me like it's going to be that kind of a thing.
I'm cool with that. I mean, like, to me, I'm looking at it and it makes me think of, like, I want a wrestling game that is a bit sillier, like a bit more of a cartoony event. So this looks awesome. My favorite wrestling game was actually Def Jam, like Fight for New York. So I kind of really want a not serious wrestling game.
Yeah, for sure. I 100% want a not serious wrestling game. That's one of the reasons why I spent this weekend setting up the PlayStation, figuring out how to stream it all. Because once this game is there, I want to have the excuse to play it all the time. The excuse I had with 2K20 was just like, oh, it's so glitchy. It's not because I'm that bad. It's just so glitchy. But I was just really bad. I was awful.
Yeah. Well, now I have a reason to buy an RTX card. Yay!
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. So that's coming out. Door Chop threw it in the chat as far as what actually comes with the deluxe edition is 3 versions of each superstar along with a pre-order bonus Edge. Includes additional 1,100 golden bucks to unlock additional superstars and legends. He doesn't believe it's worth it. I don't know. I was just looking at it. The price difference isn't so dramatic. I just wish there was something more going on with it. Dorkchop says, devs from the new Dragon Ball Fighter Z should make a wrestling over-the-top and stylistic 2D fighting game. I think that would be sweet. I don't know. It would be pretty cool. I do like that it looks a lot more cartoonish and it looks more animated. I'm all into that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Edge was available in the standard version as well, as long as you pre-order.
That's probably true. I think you're right. Pre-ordering Edge now, but the deluxe edition gives you 3 of every character in that attitude pack or something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not worth it.
I thought it was the same price. I didn't see the difference of actual price.
I think one's 50 and I think one's 80. Oh wait, no, one's
Oh,
30
really?
and one's 30 and one's 50.
Oh,
I believe.
Nah.
I kept seeing them at 40. So
Yeah. Although the 2K Deluxe Edition is down to like $10 or $15 or something like that. So everything unlocked. So if you want to get that for your kids to go nuts and watch the glitching happen and see what they do, it'd be pretty good.
you probably
Fix
just throw it away.
Yeah.
Fix this shit.
Yeah. The kids aren't dummies. Let's see.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it. I guess we get into it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Oh,
good. What's up?
aside from video games, there is some pretty awesome news outside of WWE and AEW and wrestling.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Have you guys watched anything of the New Japan Cup?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I've seen pictures
So, of the cup itself?
of cups from Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're slightly smaller.
He's a cup collector.
So they just finished up the New Japan Cup. Evil, who is Kari Sane's husband, won the cup, and then the next day challenged Tetsuya Naito, who is the Naito 2 belts of Japan. He holds the Intercontinental and IWGP heavyweight belts, and he went out and he won, and then he joined Bullet Club. So Tetsuya Naito lost part of Los Ingobernables. Evil looked heelish as hell. It was a good match.
Now, a lot of people were talking about what a crazy move to put those 2 belts on Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it considered crazy?
Well, it's to me that part kind of gets thrown to the side because it was crazy when they put it on Naito. Naito had both belts. I think the craziness here is that um, we saw someone so new, like yeah, and it's true. Yeah, Naito
Really?
was the first to carry two belts, and it's weird that they didn't split. So now the next person carries two belts, and he's so new.
How
Um,
new? I thought he'd been around a couple
uh,
of years.
he's been at it for a couple of years, but you know, Naito's been wrestling for 15 years or so. Evil really is he's from their developmental program, and he's only been in New Japan, which means he's only been wrestling since this within the past decade. So 2010, which yeah, that's you know kind of not super short for WWE, but for New Japan, that's pretty crazy. They tend to tenure people really long, and Naito was chasing these belts forever. And it's kind of also, in my eyes, a bit sad that he went from getting them to this pandemic where he hasn't been able to perform, and then losing them on the first real pay-per-view after.
Yeah, that's what Dorkchop is saying in the chat too. Crazy they screwed Naito and made the switch so soon after WK14.
Yeah, Wrestle Kingdom 14.
And that he was chasing it forever. How long has Evo been in?
Let me find out.
You're disgusting.
All we heard was gulp, gulp, gulp.
Yeah, just slurping and straws, dragging.
He debuted in 2011, and that was as a young lion. So that was him coming into the performance center. Yeah.
Huh. That's wild. I would think so. I mean, for me, it's just interesting because I would think that 9 years doesn't sound like a young pup. And we were just talking about it last week, and I brought it up several times. It used to be back in the Stone Cold days, and then in the 90s, if you had 6 years of actual professional wrestling under your belt, you were at the point where you were ready to break. That was it. 6 years was what you needed to get a good contract. Where now it's closer to 10 to 16 years before you are noticed and picked up and something big happens with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair. I think it's a different structure with them. A big thing to me that I throw out here. So, when we think of a lot of, younger guys in WWE, they had a lot of time to experience prior. With some exceptions, like Braun Strowman, his day one was in WWE. With New Japan, they build from the ground up a lot of the time. So they have this young lion academy up, and these guys coming in. So he's been in it 9 years, but he's only 33, which is kind of young for someone in this,
For sure. No, that makes sense.
And then the other thing I'll say is New Japan. I think to your point, they really have. I think it's big to give it to someone new, and this is kind of weird to say new because you do have a good point. Someone being in there 9 years, it's something I think they could definitely do more is emphasize and build up these people who are younger, who've come in and haven't been there as long because they have a great farm system. They really have fantastic performers that they take forever to get to a belt.
And Dorkshop's also saying Evil was never a main event guy either, so it's definitely a big deal because he was always I guess, a different part of the card.
Well, he's had great strong performances, in in any show he's on, he looks great, and they've put him in, in the G1 or in the NJPW Cup or in the Tag League. He's not looked bad, but yeah I agree with Dorkchop. He's not been a Kenny Omega, a Naito, a Shinsuke Nakamura. He's kind of been off to the side of these huge events, so it's a surprise.
So then, So let me ask a couple questions. One, how long was it before Shinsuke broke? Because I thought he was the youngest, so I thought it was a huge deal for him when he got the championship. Also, how does New Japan handle the Americans? I don't think AJ was there 15 years in Japan alone before he started making a splash. You know what I mean? Like, how do they handle them?
It's kind of weird. So when you go through their farm system, I think they build you up and kind of, if anything, it's slower. Whereas people coming in from the U.S., the Gaijin wrestlers, they, if they have a name, they get pushed like crazy because, well, they have a name. It's, we've heard in podcasts Bruce and them talk about, you can go to Japan for a little bit and make some money. And that's long been the case. So when an AJ Styles comes over, or a Brock Lesnar, or a Kurt Angle, they get pushed to the moon because of their name. And, I mean, I think everyone's guilty of it. It's, a bit weird here because, to me, they also have, this great big pool of people who are kind of always at like a higher, like, they'll have people that are kind of in this upper mid card, and it's this giant pool of people where, like, I could see a lot of them go to the moon, but who is it gonna be? Because everyone looks kind of competitive.
Yeah.
And Shinsuke, yes, he was the youngest. I think Shinsuke Nakamura, let me see.
And Dorchop's saying, while you look that up, he's saying the titles are held much longer over there. And if there's a big enough Gaijin star that they think will draw eyes from out west, they're going to strap the rocket to him because they're always trying to get more Americans to tune in, which makes sense. And yeah, which is also true. I mean, think about it. What was it, the first Wrestle Kingdom that I watched beginning to end was Jericho and Omega, because I wanted to see what Jericho was going to do in Japan. And then I found a whole bunch of guys in there that I was all like, holy shit, this is. I mean, it took me several days to watch it all. There was an awful lot. But I sat down and watched the whole thing because of that.
So, Shinsuke Nakamura, he got it at 23. He got it young.
He didn't start when he was 13. He's not Riho.
Nah. I mean,
She started when she was 9.
Oh. She got one up on Shinsuke.
And he got it coming in really early because he went into the dojo young. It was kind of a weird spot for him to come in because, like, Nakamura is really unique because he came in with 2 other guys that were meant to be the new top for the company, Hiroshi Tanahashi and Katsuyori Shibata, and they all, Shibata kind of got tossed to the side. Him and Tanahashi became these really big people really fast, and I think that was because they had lost so many people and they had such a dip for so long. But now they're kind of resting on these older guys.
Dorktop says poor Shibata.
Poor Shibata.
Yeah. He got. I think I sent you the match where he got headbutted and he never wrestled.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's why his name's familiar. I was like, man, I've heard of both those guys. What do you mean he got tossed aside? I was like, I definitely know his name. Yeah, because he was murdered.
Well, no, he was out of New Japan. He wrestled another.
You can't wrestle when you're dead.
He took a headbutt, which wasn't smart.
Yeah, Dorkchop even says poor Shibata. So goddamn good, but use the fucking headbutt like as his finisher. Like, what the fuck, dude? Stop. Yeah, that was the guy who would just headbutt the shit out of people until he was like passed out. And you're like, doing more to you, man.
Well, in that match where afterward he had a subdural hematoma, you see him do it, and then like there's this like single like line of blood going down his head. You're like, ooh, that's bad.
Yeah, you're like, that's precise, that's precision. There's never good precision fractures to the head.
Maybe calm down, champ. You don't have to do this as much.
Yeah, and Dorcher says it always looks so good because he was actually doing it, which is also the problem.
Yeah.
He's got like matches with people, and people are like, nah. Yeah, I'll just stay off the card. It's fine.
That's the Japanese Goldberg.
Yeah, no one told him it to work. Yeah, so I know that was big news, and I'll say this is, man, maybe I got to make that a shirt. I'll say this a lot. I've noticed that. Have you guys noticed that?
A little bit.
A lot. Like it's a fucking catchphrase. And I don't say it any other time in my life, only on the show. What's the matter with me? Anyways, I'll say this. Although what I
You gotta
say?
put your thumbs up.
Yeah. Bing. So it may be crazy because he's so young and because he wasn't always on the top of the card. And he's been paired up with the Bullet Club, which seems pretty crazy all of a sudden. And it may seem unfair to Naito about losing the belts the way he did and how fast. But at the end of the day, New Japan has a whole bunch of Americans talking about something that happened out there without any Americans involved at all.
Yep.
That's good. That's big. I mean, not Sam on his podcast spent minutes talking about what's going on in New Japan. And that guy doesn't even watch New Japan. He watches WWE almost exclusively. That's why he doesn't talk about other things. And he brings that up too, and he goes, "But I have to talk about this." That's how big it is right now. Is that people who don't watch anything but WWE are fully aware that just happened.
Well, and I think the other thing too is, I mean, it's not going to hurt Naito. Like, Naito chased that belt for so long, but that chase, he was at the top of the card. He was changing how that company's fan base was seeing it. It was amazing. It was a great story, you know. In a sense, maybe this is kind of like the Kofi Kingston's storyline, you know, like this guy, you know, we build this up, but longer. We build this up, he chases it, he gets it. Well, what do you do now? And with him, he got the belts, which was an amazing moment, and he got not just one, but both of them. You know, do you want to have him hold him forever and defend forever because it gets boring, or do you want to have him chase? And this is a great way to chase.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that whatever they're doing is right because, yeah, I mean, we just spent a long time talking about it. Kevlar's never even heard of New Japan. He's sitting there drinking away. He's going to be drunk by the next topic.
Mm-hmm. What's Japan?
What is Japan?
Yeah, what is Japan?
Dorchop says, since 2015 or so, NJPW's really blown up over here. Let's see. Oh, NJPW World really helps with the site is crap. They should hire whoever made the WWE Network. And then said, no, that app sucks too. I think this, though, hire whoever did the app the first time. Because the first time it was perfect. And then they upgraded everything, and whoever lost their job, and then they just said we're reinventing the whole thing, hire the first guy. Because that app was dope.
Yeah.
Well, at least with even the not great WWE Network app, you can search stuff.
Yeah, the search is not as great as it was, though, dude. I was literally trying to find the Sasha Bailey takeover match, and when I looked up Bailey and just looked up matches or whatever the content was, pay-per-views even, because I was also looking for Money in the Bank, they weren't even there. All that was listed was all the kickoffs because she had interviews on a bunch of kickoffs, but her matches and stuff weren't So I didn't understand. I was like, clearly these are things people will look for more so than her kickoff interview.
Mm. Well, they need to, when they do the search, they need to break it down with matches, collections, specials, interviews, because there's a lot of times I'm looking up or trying to look up a collection and it's damn near impossible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they had that whole collection tab for a while, and then they got rid of that. And I was like, well, that's awful. You have literal collections.
Yeah, and one of my bigger complaints, since we're on it, is when if you don't watch something live and you watch it the next day, a lot of times it has a picture of something that happened, up front.
Yeah, the picture's the big ending.
Yeah, and you're like, well, thanks. That helps out a lot.
Yeah. Is this the one I'm looking for with the new title in someone's hand?
Yeah.
Let's see. Was there anything else you want to talk about on there?
No, that was a big one to me. I mean,
was there other stuff on that card that was huge?
Nothing that got to that hype.
Okay.
Nothing, there's other stuff on the card, yeah, but nothing that was that moment.
Do you think this is the reinvention of the Bullet Club as we know it? We're going to hear more about the Bullet Club again? Because we haven't heard about them since the Elite.
I mean, they've been there. I wouldn't want to say that because they've been there. It's been neat, but it hasn't had the I don't think it's so much that the Bullet Club hasn't been there since the Elite. We haven't heard about them. It's that they haven't had people who are going to the U.S. I think the wrestling industry has changed in such a way now that the Bullet Club isn't appearing on Ring of Honor. The Bullet Club isn't appearing on NWA or AEW, and that I think speaks to nobody's wanting to work with each other, and they need to. You know, if
Well, there's also some travel restrictions
Well,
nowadays.
I mean, there's factors right now, but
well, even before that, when AEW was created, like the Bullet Club didn't disappear, and the story got compelling. It would have been cool to see that move. I think I think that's been the great missed opportunity of before COVID. Was okay. We just all focused on not working with each other, which would have been great.
yeah, absolutely. What
All
I
you
say?
guys' background noise are hilarious.
Yeah,
Every
it's
time-
too much.
Every time Clump moves his straw, it sounds like he's moving on an inflatable pool raft. You just
Yeah.
sound like you dropped the deuce in the toilet.
I'm trying to make less clutter and more plunking when it comes to dropping the ice.
No, just stop.
Kerplunk, as it were. I do agree with that, and I do think that it'd be great if NJPW could get a working relationship with a company out here. I just think that the Young Bucks are so bitter about not being treated as well as they believe they should have been by NJPW that that's probably not going to happen over there. And I think NJPW is still really hurt about Kenny leaving the way, like when he did, when they had so much behind him. And I just know that there's no way. I mean, I guess I don't know anything, but I mean, I just don't see there being any way that WWE and NJPW can ever reforge that relationship that they had back in the 90s, just because of a lot of the weird stuff that happened towards the end of that. Let's see, in the chat real quick, Rad Gnarly 42, thanks for coming in, man. You look new to me. Cheers for coming through. What are you drinking, man? He says Taishi owns Tanahashi at the moment for some reason. Dorkchop says Guido being Bullet Club changes things since he's the booker. Wait. Oh, that's who he came out with, huh? That's big. He just wants those shirt sales. He's trying to get on that. And then it looks like Rad Gnarly and Dorkchop go way back. Let's see. They need more Japanese talent in BC. Oh, in Bullet Club. Gaijins can't travel. Yeah, that's true. Jay White doesn't bring Americans. NJPW could do well to hire some of the released WWE talent. That'd be cool. Yeah. I mean, I know that everyone's talking about Carl and Luke going to Impact, but I think that them going back to Japan would be very interesting to me. And hell, I think if Heath Slater showed up over there, I'd be very compelled.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Splinter Fox says, "Yo, what's up, Splinter Fox? Thanks for coming through, man. Cheers. What are you guys drinking?"
Cheers.
Let's see. Jay White being thrust into the Omega role rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Thanks for the welcome. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, I know that I didn't like that at all, Jay White. And I'm not even a huge NJPW fan, but I was watching there for a bit. And then when he became the champion, I was like, I don't know. And I kind of was out at it. And I don't even have the same backstory everyone else has. But isn't he the dick who broke JR's ribs and said JR shouldn't be in the way by being in commentary on the side?
Ugh.
Wasn't that him? I might be wrong. Let's see. Splinter Fox says NJPW top tier Bullet Club is evil. Crowd in NJPW is the best. USA Wrestling won't see any fans soon since nobody knows what a mask is. I know, and they sell them.
Very true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can even sell and give this stuff away, and people are still like, I don't know.
Yeah, the producer here, I'm off screen. I even tried posting on Twitter, like hey, show us your wrestling mask, and like no one posted. It was just us.
Yeah.
Posting our wrestling face masks.
Yeah, we got a bunch.
Come on, how many shirts do you need? It's more merch.
Yeah, it's more merch, man. It's better. Work appropriate. Let's see. I think that's about it for NJPW. Unless there's anything else you guys want to throw out.
Yeah, I think that I got what I wanted in.
Yeah, I think we covered it all.
Don't like the way you said that, man. Splinter Fox says Jay White is top heel. That was him that hurt JR.
That hurt JR.
Yeah, but he put it in quotes. I saw the thing, man. He hurt him. Put me in quotes. No, let's see. NJPW. Oh, yeah, and then all that stuff in Japan right now. Anyways, they've had like the least number of deaths, and they're doing really good, and no one seems to be getting it. They don't have any spikes, and they never had a lockdown. And people are like, well, what's going on over there? Like, oh, well, they're all just wearing masks. Everyone's just wearing masks, and just no one gets it now.
Well, they were...
Like, what?
I mean,
They've always worn masks.
Yeah, they were doing that before, which is good.
They've been ready for the longest. All of us making fun of them in the airport, we're wrong.
Okay, you were.
I never did that.
Oh, okay.
You monster.
Speaking of monsters, Matt Riddle put out a video. Did you guys see this?
Oh, yeah.
He tweeted a retort to the allegations on the Speaking Out movement. I don't know. I feel like with as much as we have to take every accusation seriously, we also have to listen to someone when they say something about their allegations. Because I just thought it was a little weird that every single response was people just saying, what?
Thanks for the rating.
Oh, we just got rated!
Spectrum.
Full Spectrum Odyssey.
Oh, God.
Raid!
If you're just joining us on the podcast, there's a money gun that's
Kind of.
attempting to be used.
Yeah, not a lot came out on that one. Sorry, this never happens to me. This has never happened.
Only on our first show.
It was not, not as big. We got a little outsider raid.
Woo!
Bunch of woos coming through.
Woo!
The chat's blowing up, and you guys don't even get to see it.
I'm seeing it. It's a takeover.
Dork Chop says every show, Marsh. Yeah, because I'm like, this never happens. He's like, it does happen. It happens every time.
You have witnesses.
Yeah. Splinter saying, NJPW's getting even better with Ospreay, Jay White, Kenta. You know, has Kenta made much of a splash over there? I feel like there was a lot of hype about him going back, and he just didn't.
They tried to.
Yeah. It just didn't land, right?
I think it's hard to say because I stopped really watching it. I think maybe in Japan, yeah, he made a splash, but he didn't make certainly the splash that the Elite made. I think the goal was to pull somebody over and be like, oh, we got somebody from WWE. Yeah, that WWE booked like shit.
Yeah. No, actually, they tried to book him strong in NXT. He kept getting injured. And then after a while, there's like, yeah, we just don't want to do it anymore.
Splinter says he's currently going after NATO, but...
Then the world stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this really, like, messed up a whole lot. And I always think that as much as we're getting back to being real comfortable with criticizing everything again and being like, oh, this is done right, this isn't done right. I mean, and that's all kind of the point of us. There is still a big part of me that's all like, don't forget, they still have a lot of obstacles in their way. So the fact that anything comes up at all is probably okay. Let's see. Chat's on fire. Let's see. So that's about all I had there. Oh, with the Matt Riddle thing, he just put out a retort, and then I guess he went on a radio show with his wife and talked about her being very forgiving. I really don't know what to make of any of it other than he seems to be open and talking about it, and I think that people need to look into it. And I don't think we should shut out any voice right now necessarily, but I saw a whole lot of people just saying ignore him, whatever. He clearly did these things, and you're like, well, I don't want to say that anyone doesn't deserve being heard. You know what I mean?
I think what made this harder and maybe what added into the situation here is it, in some eyes, doesn't really look like it was taken seriously by WWE or by him.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, the speed at which, like, things came out, there wasn't a pause on him. There was, like, oh, he's going to be on TV, and I know that there's an angle and it's pre-taped stuff, but it's weird, you know? It maybe could have been handled better. I think if there was even a statement about we're going to investigate this and
They
found out
did
more,
say
yeah.
that. They said that about
Yeah.
a bunch of them. They said they were going to investigate all of them. That's why I thought it was very telling of the amount of people who were just getting let go. Because they let go a number of people and suspended people. Well, this is all let goes. But Matt Riddle's name never came up. And so it made me wonder. You know what I mean? If they're doing these investigations and a ton of people are being let go, it does seem like there may be something to the Matt Riddle story specifically that might be more than we know. And I think that that's one of the big things we do as fans is pretend that we know all of it anyways.
That's fair. I mean, I agree with you. As we can only go based off what we see externally. But I feel like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel that in hearing this out, the speed of him being on TV still, I could see that being an argument. Like pause him for a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
not
I
like,
definitely thought it was I thought it was definitely bold that they brought him out the way that they did after everything, and you thought, oh, maybe it might be at least you can make a presentation. Let's say you're not finding anything or you're finding stuff on his side. The immediacy of having him there really makes it look. The perception is that you're not looking into it. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
so if you just keep him off for a few weeks and you can say, after our investigation, this is what we found, but this was just immediately so like, here he
Yeah.
is. It was a little weird for sure.
And, another part to this, and based on what we're seeing, hopefully we don't find anything negative. But damn, would that look doubly bad for, perception-wise if something comes out, yeah.
Yeah. As far as news goes, though, those are the only things I really saw news-wise going on. So, apart from that, we can get into AEW or NXT. Would you guys watch them both?
Yes.
I watched NXT.
Regrettable.
Yeah. Did you not watch AEW, Clump?
I did not watch AEW this week.
Wow.
I was hoping to know what you thought about one of the matches. So, but we'll get into it anyways. So let's do this then. Let's start with AEW because you and me just had that long talk about NJPW while Kevlar took a nap, and then I'm not saying don't chime in on the AEW stuff because I know you're gonna have opinions anyways that you should chime in. But we'll get AEW out of the way and then we'll talk to NXT. Dorchop says he can help with AEW. Let's see.
You're gone, Clump. You're gone.
Yeah, you're already getting replaced, Clump.
Let's see. Splinter Fox in the chat saying that WWE should have handled the craziness way better than any other wrestling business, and they dropped the ball. I think it's hard to know too, because I don't know if we really know what any of them are doing to handle it. It's just they suddenly got a bunch more cases, and it doesn't look good, that's for sure. But I don't know what's going on behind the scenes of any of them. And even that, there's been no confirmed cases except for like 3 or 4, but all the rumors are that there's like 30 or 40. And right now that there's a whole lot of reason for them to put out negative press about WWE because that's the popular thing to do and the cool thing to do to get the reads. Where AEW's not owning up to almost any of the positive testings that other people in the business are coming out and saying. Like DDP came out and said that QT Marshall tested positive for COVID. But AEW's not talking about that or bringing it up either. So I do think that TJ Wilson brought up the point that HIPAA is a thing and people are allowed their own medical knowledge without the world being privy to it. So I do think that there's a reality there too. But I don't know that any company is doing everything right now. Mm-hmm. I think it's just kind of a mess for everyone, to be honest. And yeah, I don't know.
I agree with you there. I think you hit the nail on the head really when we're talking about what's happening here. It's one thing, like every person has the right to their own privacy here, because historically I get cautious whenever I hear about a company or disclosing like some kind of disclosure of somebody's medical history, because that can be very damning, that can be very dangerous, that can be something that could really hurt you. And I don't want that to happen to anyone. However, I think it can be said that, hey, we have had this happen. Hey, we have had people have tested positive. This has affected us. You could be more open about what you're doing because you've had things occur versus being utterly silent, you know?
Yeah, and Kevin Owens went on a talk show, and he was talking about how he was pressuring them to get everyone to wear face masks, and that he wasn't coming in because he didn't feel like it was being done well enough, and he made them basically up a lot of their stuff before he came back, or made them request it. I'm sure I don't think you make any employer do anything for you, but he definitely was like forefront heading this is what it's going to take to get everyone back kind of a deal. And I guess he was obviously super supported by the locker room, but apparently also supported by the company and making changes.
And I think that, I mean, I think it's good. I think we, you know, you also said it is easy to knock WWE here because we've heard a lot of negative stories about this that we haven't heard about other companies. And in my eyes, what WWE has not done, AEW has also not done, and that's been frustrating to me for everything. You know, it wasn't WWE that started with crowds. It was AEW, and we didn't acknowledge this. And then it went to having shows from off-site, which is still in a enclosed room with 10 people there. If you're gonna, and nobody's wearing masks, so to me it's really hard to knock WWE when you hear about people testing positive and hearing stories about people being told not to wear a mask when this has affected everyone, you know.
Yeah. And just because WWE maybe got the crapshoot of it doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't just as possible in any of the other places. You just got lucky. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe there is no luck with it, but maybe there is. What was that, Kev?
I was going to say, my thing is that WWE, put up the plexiglass. AEW hasn't. WWE's crowd is wearing masks right now, and AEW's aren't. And
they're also standing 6 feet apart at WWE, where AEW keeps them all bunched together.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell that they have a tape on the ground. I've actually seen that.
Yeah.
For the NXT shows, but every time I see AEW, I'm just so frustrated at the lack of protocols that I see just as a casual viewer.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
Well, the other thing I was going to bring up is, you guys were talking about HIPAA and not letting people, release the information, but at the same time, you always hear about the sports teams, and this player tested positive. So I don't really think that might be a HIPAA thing.
I don't know. I also think that it wouldn't do anyone any harm to say we've had this number of cases.
Yes.
And leave it at that. You know what I mean? And that might be nice to at least acknowledge it if they would all be honest. But I think everyone's trying to undermine everyone else, and it's creating for this need of secrecy, which I just think is bad for everyone.
Yeah, and my big thing is, I think Moxley has had to have it or something because they keep pushing things back with them and, oh, this happened, he's home. I've been watching AEW regularly again for about a month or so, and he hasn't been on TV once.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was even doing vignettes and sending him in. He wasn't really showing up. And then he would do like a video before everyone would get there, and it would be filmed outside, and then he wouldn't be let in or something and go. Like, I noticed that too. He's been really distant from the building. And maybe part of that is maybe he just also didn't feel secure about it. Maybe he didn't have it, but he goes, I don't like the way this looks. But he's not coming out and saying that because right now AEW needs that positive press because that is their whole internet gimmick, is that we are not WWE. WWE does everything wrong, and we do everything right. I mean, Taz went on their show and said, we don't run a sloppy shop here. Like, insinuating that everyone else is, and maybe they aren't, but right now the narrative they need to keep is that they're the only ones doing everything right. There's a lot going on in the chat. Yeah, and they need to do it. They need to follow through with it. The chat's blowing up over here. I'm trying not to get lost in it. Splinter Fox back said, as for Riddle, he did have an affair. I know you should have a second chance, but he had a family. Dude, really, he set himself up for all this. But he also copped to all that too. Said he did have an affair and that he did try to cut it off, and that he went to his wife and divulged all of that. I don't know if any of that's true, how much is true. But bottom line, if she didn't know, she does now, because we all know. I also don't know if having an affair is enough reason for anyone to be accused of something they didn't do. If they did do it, then having an affair is almost irrelevant. Because if you did these horrible things and you did these horrible things, I don't care about the affair or not. If you didn't do these horrible things, but this is the the backlash for having an affair, then I disagree with that.
Yeah.
Dorkchop says, Matt. Go ahead.
I was going to say, an affair and an assault is very different from each other, and that should never be compared.
For sure, and they shouldn't. One shouldn't cause the other necessarily. They should be separate. They should be talked about separately. Let's see. Matt Riddle came out the strongest according to Dorkchop against what was going on, but he was had the most to lose from that group. Weird seeing him on TV so soon either way, and I agree with that completely. Dorkchop says, I'll help with AEW. Splinter says AEW was amazing, better than NXT. QT has not been there. He was sent home. There's been interesting things happening over at the training center that I don't know how much is out. I don't want to get into it, but he's been here and there, and he just has been off TV. Let's see. I mean, they're both in Florida. It's the worst right there. Florida's doomed. Let's see. It was only a couple of months ago that they were all in the same hotel together. That's true, WWE and AEW. We don't know where everyone's staying now, but there was definitely a time where they were all in the same hotel, and that was nerve-wracking for me.
And I mean, there are people that have had it, didn't know that they had it because they were asymptomatic, and could catch it the second time. So that's also a thing that happens too. So there's just like a lot we don't know.
Yeah, we don't. Let's see.
I mean,
Splinter
in a
says
sense, to me, good. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll cut through some of this. Splinter Fox said they caught it because they were taking tests, and that is why Mox has not been there due to his wife. But I mean, realistically, all we know is that Renee had it. She admitted to having COVID. We don't know who got it. Like, we really don't know if someone from AEW, if it went the other way. Because AEW's, like I said, not been all that open either. I'm just saying we don't know how this whole thing went. Realistically, if one of us were to get it, it could come from, 7 Degrees to Kevin Bacon on how it actually got to us and have nothing to do with either company. Just now that you're in the company, you're seen as this. I mean, Kyla Brax admitted having it 3 months prior to her getting it the second time, which was the whole story about someone being in contact with somebody after dinner, after work, and then finding out they had it. And then they had to test everyone again at that point, too, just because, like, they were trying to find out, did she expose anybody else? And it's like, there's so many ways that stuff is spreading, and it's spreading like crazy, and no company is being truly honest, it doesn't feel like. So I don't know that I could say, oh, Mox is staying home because Renee caught it from somebody at WWE is any different from Mox is staying home because everybody in the training facility at AEW has it, and that's the same place that they were filming. And you know what I mean? Like,
let's not forget,
it's two sides of the same stone, if you ask me.
Let's not forget that they live in Las Vegas, where they were opening up the casinos. So like, we don't know if maybe they had a night out, or like, who knows?
Yeah.
I agree with what Dorkchop's saying at the bottom. I was going to throw out there, I think one thing that I struggle with a lot of this is the statement because of. When we apply fault, like, we got to be careful because this is a disease. Now, there are things people can do that can definitely put themselves at risk, and they're fucking stupid. But we don't know that. I think the situations where we hear somebody say, hey, I got this, if anything, I feel a bit like, oh, cool. Now I want to see what you do in response to it. I think what's been upsetting to me has been the response from everyone to what happened. I feel that when this occurred, when people started testing positive within one company, both companies, there should have been a reevaluation of what to do, a solid reevaluation. And you could make an argument, well, we have this pre-taped content. Honestly, be open. Yeah, we pre-taped this, we're going to air what we had. But we should really look at what we can do moving forward and change things up.
Yeah, and in the current climate, there's no reason these two companies couldn't have been working together on this. It's trying to make sure that everyone's doing this safely. Especially because they are all spending time together. What was it on Bailey's Instagram, 2 weeks ago? She was out playing Topgolf with FTR.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? She was hanging out with Britt Baker. We had, what was it? Who was hanging out with Miz and Zack Ryder in the hot tub? It was somebody else from AEW. Morrison. Yeah. I mean, but we have enough connections between these two companies. I don't understand why they're not working together. I mean, you have obviously Renee and Moxley. That's as clear as it gets. You have Adam Cole and Britt Baker. Mm-hmm. That's as clear as it gets. FTR and Bailey and Sasha are all spending time together still. There was somebody else over there too, but I don't know. Someone from Impact, Emma. That's who was there. To Neil Dashwood, she was there too. And it's like all these companies are spending time together outside of the company. There's really got to be. I don't understand why you wouldn't open up the communication between the other companies and just saying, "Hey, we'd like our stuff to continue on as much as you want your stuff to continue on. How about we both do this together to make sure that none of us is having to make these kind of adjustments?"
And producer here, I honestly don't think that we're going to get that type of collaboration until we see people in the ICU, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think something bad's going to happen.
Because, I have a family member who's a doctor, who's an epidemiologist fighting this on the front lines. And then, Kevin and knows what I'm talking about because he works front lines. But this isn't just a joke.
Yeah, as Dorkchop was saying in the chat, Houston Chronicle obituary was 43 pages long yesterday. They're coming up on another lockdown here.
Really getting serious, and if we don't take it seriously, it's not going to be good. And actually, here in Arizona, I heard that we're turning people away because the hospitals are getting full, and some people are getting sent to California.
Yeah, what were you about to say, Clump?
Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, with this, I think the true weakness, the true thing of the truly upsetting point has been at the levels above the people. I think Dorkshop put in there that New Japan's the only company that did something right. I agree with that. I think, especially as this went on, I think when we started seeing everyone doing shows in isolation, that wasn't bad, but I think that so much more could have been done. I think that so much more could have been done in doing less, and I think, unfortunately, we've seen a doubling down of competition. And, the argument could be made that for at least one company, if they don't make product, they're going to go out of business. But that's a good situation to talk about and pause and maybe reach out to work with each other and not work out in a way where we're putting people's at risk. I think this has just become, I don't want to say partisan because it's not political, but it's become an unnecessary competition between people and favoritism that is just stupid.
And they're behaving like it's a competition between COVID. AEW going, we don't run a sloppy shop, but they've had to shut down their training facilities several times because of COVID. Yes. WWE trying to pretend like they're not getting any cases when they got to send home however many people they sent home secretly because, hey, we don't want people to think that what AEW is saying is true. Like, fucking throw the pettiness and competition part aside when it comes to the health. Like, I get it about the shows and the competition. You want to have FyterFest and Great American Bash and say that everything's too big for one night and do all the little petty shit. I love that stuff. I'm into the petty shit. But when it's health, there's no reason for competition. Yeah. There's no reason for name talk. And really the conversation shouldn't have been, do we run a sloppy shop? It should have been, what can we do to help the other company to get our people back?
Yeah.
What's just real life? It's not kayfabe or shows or anything like that. When it's people are obviously dying of this stuff, and it just goes to the American society right now and how selfish we are and how divided we are, where we just need to get together and work together, wear the goddamn masks because it's probably the safest way right now. We're not sure. We're living in a damn science experiment right now, and just do it. Quit arguing with it. Just do it. If you can't wear a mask because you're medical reasons, which I think is bullshit.
It is bullshit.
Stay home. That's
it.
And
I don't even understand the mentality people are having where it's like, your health isn't my responsibility. Like, that sentence alone is just dripping with selfishness and just a lack of humanity. Where it's like, I mean, it's almost hard to process, where it's like you really feel that you have the right to expose other people to something that could be potentially deadly that you wouldn't need to expose them to. You've decided to make the choice to do that. And I mean, just about that's an argument. Let's go real quick. We're running behind in the chat. Let's see. Splinter Fox is saying AEW's taking place outside and everybody's been taking tests, and Tony Khan has the money to give them all tests every time. I wonder if being outside is helpful. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be helpful, but I don't know that it. My understanding is it travels through the air just as much. But if you're not locked into the building, and they both companies have the money to test everybody every time, and plenty of WWE stars stars. I say Mojo, and Alexa, and a few other people. Yeah, he's a star in our eyes for sure. But like they've talked about taking that COVID test a dozen times. They said, yeah, after they've taken it so many times, it's like this thing they just do now. So I don't think that nobody's being tested there either. I just don't think that any company's being honest with what's actually happening. So we don't know.
I think when you talk about doing testing that much too, that everyone can get tested as much as they want, I get a bit upset because of the inability or the difficulty for the average person to get tested. And I then question, okay, well then why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Well, I think both companies need to step it up, talk to the NBA, because they're in the Disney World bubble right now, and they're giving each player a ring that supposedly detect the virus. And why aren't all of WWE's talent and AEW's talent doing the same?
Yeah, if that's a real thing,
Tony Khan, get the talk to the NBA, get the fucking ring, put them on everyone, and be like way to tell.
Let's see. Dorkchop says that as much as he loves AEW, they've been a bit careless. Testing and all that seems to be on point. But other than that, they have been extremely lax. He goes, I'm a biased Mark fan, and I've been guilty of giving them a pass on that because I was happy to hear people ringside rather than dead ass quiet of the PC. Splinter said they announced it on Twitter that they are trying to keep the story going. Let's see. Dorkchop says New Japan was the only company that did everything right. People are acting like it's going away, but it's getting worse. Let's see. Fabtina's getting pissed every time she sees Ric Flair at the PC, which, it's... And he's gone on record saying that he feels like he's safer there than at a grocery store. So, again, I don't know what's happening backstage. Everyone's giving these different stories. Let's see. Just as much as I get pissed at seeing no mass at AEW, yeah. Let's see. Splinter Fox is new and blowing it up today. Let's see, said, well, we all know Vince is going to do what he wants. So, maybe Triple H could talk to Khan, but Vince extending that is another story. I think the narrative about Vince, and we've talked about this before, I have no reason to believe the narrative of Vince that the internet has portrayed. Everything I've seen in interviews from people who used to work for him or still work for him, even Cornette, who hates the product and shits on it all the time, and says he hasn't talked to him in years, doesn't have these negative stories to tell, and talks about what a good person he is and what a good heart he is and how much he cares and stuff. So I don't know Vince. I've never met him, but I do love the evil Vince McMahon is unwilling to budge here, but Triple H could probably party with Tony Khan. I just think that I think Vince would be interested in a cure himself. Real quick. Go ahead.
Good.
Well, let's just get caught up in the chat. Let's see. Dorkchop says, since they are the only sport on TV, they need to be leading the way with how to do live sports and situation. Do it right, then lead to change or charge. Bluebird says, I heard KO talk to Vince into making masks mandatory. Splinter Fox says, I believe KO and Jericho, the locker room leaders, would need to talk together because the higher-ups won't. I don't think that... Well, God, I don't know. I don't know. I would like to think that there's no way that Tony Khan and Vince McMahon couldn't sit down and talk. But maybe neither one would let themselves do it. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if Jericho and KO could get it all done either. Maybe if they put enough pressure on. Maybe this is the closest we get to a union. You know what I mean? Getting the two locker rooms to say. Just because we know they're all spending so much time together and stuff. Like I said, we can see all of them on each other's social medias. Okay, we know you guys are all talking. How do you guys all feel about this around? Also, if AEW really felt like they were doing things better and WWE was doing things awful, why would we see AEW people spending time with WWE people? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if we aren't even in the same room right now. because I don't know your lifestyle that well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's enough doubt from the stories that Clump has told us. And I have a pin of a dildo sitting over here because that was just a thing you had lying around.
I bought it for you specifically.
Oh. I mean, it's the colors I like in that kind of thing. So it just seems to me like if I have any reason to doubt it, right? Like my brother, I saw him the other day. It was my birthday. I went to his house because they had gifts for me. I brought a secondary bag. I held it open. They put stuff in there. I said, thank you. And I stepped 6 feet back and we talked for a few minutes. He said, anytime you want to come hang out, you can. Well, the thing is I know his church is opening back up. I know he's refusing to go. But I also know that they do see some members of the family. And I do know he works with people who go to that church. And that they're all doing what they can to stay separated. But there's still only one bathroom in the office. I just don't know. So why would FTR be spending time with Bailey and Sasha if they didn't truly feel confident that it was fine?
And here's another thing, and this is something I think that this speaks to policies for higher-ups, but also I'll say it speaks to Florida. A lot more could be done to personal comfort levels might be it, and I think questions should be raised. Why are you guys doing this? Maybe this is a situation for higher ups to say, look guys, maybe we need to showcase or do more to show what we're doing virtually. Or how about the government in Florida say, hey, we're shutting this down. And if we have these concerns, that is a valid question to ask. Why hasn't this been shut down? You know?
Yeah. It's
hell.
I have to wait for a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
You have to what?
Well,
I have to step away for a second.
he's got to
Alright.
go get his bad dragon toy that I bought him.
I have to
Yeah.
poop.
I did put
I'll
the... He's got to go get some ice. I put up the pin. I found it. It was right here on the desk because I always have to keep it handy, so it's right here now.
No one wants to see
Don't say
it.
that.
It's right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
You always got to
But-
be ready. I keep it next to the Undertaker pin. You don't know. Just because he's a
that's
dead
that.
man doesn't mean he's like all dead. You know?
Okay, stop.
His
Sorry.
butthole's
Sorry.
very alive.
Come on.
What do you think he's burying in all those graves?
Do you know that they make stuff that's
That
got
is
the
like-
circumference of a Coke can?
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think the boneyard is?
Stop.
All right, sorry.
Stop. We're moving on.
Dorkchop says the show's a beautiful mess, and that's why he's here every week. And said, I thought it was going great. I don't know what happened. What did I say?
Nothing good. Nothing good.
I always like what I say. It makes you sound like a racist uncle.
Yeah. What? What? What did I say that's wrong? Prove me
Oh,
wrong.
no. Thanksgiving's over. What did I say?
Yeah.
But I think with this, I mean, I've had trouble looking at people's Instagrams where they're showing them out and about doing shit together in groups.
Yeah.
Like, guys,
Yeah, absolutely.
come on.
Yeah, it's been Flux House at the Dark Turn. Is Kevlar back? Is that what we just heard?
I think I heard him.
Yeah, I'm back, but I have to go. I'll
Wait.
rejoin the show in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
You do?
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Low
So-
fiber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give us a call. Give us a call back if you can make it back.
Yeah.
Are you
Alright, I
getting
will.
called in? Are you getting called into work?
No.
No. Okay, cool. Then yeah, give us a call back in.
Probably had
All right, cool.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
knew we were about to
see
talk about AEW.
it was an accident.
So now
Yeah.
we definitely need Door Chop.
Yeah, I
He
might.
said he had a poo, and then he came back and said, "I gotta go."
Yeah, he goes, I gotta poo. I'll call you guys back
Yeah.
later.
This is
I got to the
what
shower.
I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
I had
goes-
a 1-star.
Yeah. Yeah. He's all like, he just comes running back. All right, we got a prairie dog alert. I gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go. Done. It's gonna
I
be a
have
long
ruined
one.
my shorts. I do not have new shorts. I have to wash new shorts.
Yeah. I gotta cut the feed. Gotta clean the couch off real quick.
Oh, all right.
All right, guys.
Perfect.
I'll see you guys in a bit.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Calls back. Well, then let's just talk about a couple of things on AEW. Then we'll just talk about highlights and lowlights. Let's see. What did you think? Because I know you know. What do you think about Taz bringing in the FTW belt and giving it to Brian Cage?
I think it's really cool and a neat callback, and it really works as fan service. And
it does. Real quick, I'm going to make you pause. Hold on. Splinter Fox just said in the chat, yeah, I think the wrestlers should set an example and not show stuff on their social media. But that's exactly the opposite of what we just said. They need to be more honest. Everyone show everything on your social media.
Well,
show me you guys being checked in.
Better.
Yeah, be better, show more. Like the fact that I don't want them to hide so much. I want this level of honesty up. See, Dork Chop loves it, but doesn't think that.
What I'm going to do now is just delete my messages.
Yeah.
That's not the answer.
Dork Chop loves the FTW belt is back, but doesn't think Cage has earned it. He's had like 2 squash matches and a ladder battle royal. Ladder battle royal? I think that Cage being handed the belt and looking like a child going, me, was so against the FTW belt that I was immediately like, take it back right now. Like, I wish he went and reaches it over towards him. And then as soon as he does, I go like, he starts to hand it and he gives that look like, he goes, no, stop. What are you doing? And then he like does this, like his hand over the mic. He's like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? I can't give you this now. Like, and storm off.
You know that when he brought it in, Tony Khan gave the same look.
Yes. Because Tony Khan, the whole reason AEW bit, Tony Khan has built a giant meet and greet for himself. That's what AEW is. Tony Khan's personal meet and greet.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Yes. That's why he's sort of a hero of mine.
Yeah.
If I could bring in all my favorites to work for me in this endless meet and greet,
oh, you'd love it.
It'd be amazing. If you look at his Instagram, it looks the same as mine during ToyCon.
Yeah, his house is probably like this too.
Yeah, there's no difference. He did a video call the other day with Eric Bischoff and Conrad, and behind him is these big fucking posters of AEW. It's great. Let's see. Dorkchop says someone photoshopped an N64 on that photo, and it is and it's perfect. What photo? I have no idea what photo he's talking about right now.
Tony Khan's like me with my Mattel WWF ring in the 90s, but in real life.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he brings back Ahmed Johnson. Let's be real. All right, Clump. I cut you
off.
off.
Brings back Ahmed Johnson's promos.
Yeah. With Cage looking at the FTW belt. Oh, and with like an N64 on the belt, like it's a kid being. That's so funny. Fucking funny. Go ahead, Clump. What do you think about him giving the baddest motherfucker belt to a man who stands behind him passively and childishly giggles when given the belt?
I mean, it's better than him giving it. Like, I can't think of a lot of people. Moxley, I can't think of a lot of people who deserve it. I'm happy to see Taz. There's a lot of apologies that I'm going to make right now.
Yes.
I'm happy to see ECW stuff, but I feel like this is just... I don't know, man. Brian Cage has done a lot. I think Brian Cage is a badass. I think Brian Cage is a monster. I don't know if this belt fits him as much as it would fit Mox. I don't know if it fits him as much as it would fit Joey Janela.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think as much as I'm excited to have Taz back, and as much as I was excited to see Brian Cage debut, I'm still waiting for Brian Cage to debut. Because ever since his debut, it's been about Taz. And I don't know how they don't see this, that every time Taz does more and more, like, I'm waiting for him to hand over his original singlet to Brian Cage and say, wear this at Fight for the Fallen. Like, he's basically trying to forge him into another Taz, which I'm super happy Taz is and I hope Taz is making a ton of money right now. Because that is a dude who put so much into the business and into himself. And I'm sure he did well for himself. But I also feel like that just due to timing and injuries and all of that, and due to just poor booking at the time, he never got to take his career to the money heights that it definitely deserved to be. So I'm hoping he's just bringing in those checks.
It's a pretty good picture.
Oh.
You just tweeted it to us.
Yeah. Let's see. Sent the photo to us on Twitter. That's what I'm saying. Marsh Cage needs to be put over in AEW. I don't watch Impact. I have no idea who he is. Also, Lucha Underground. I remember watching when he came out to Lucha Underground, and as soon as he comes out, I was all like, well, this is a weird guy to put into Lucha Underground. Just a big, slow-moving muscle head. And then
He's not
he
that
comes
slow
out.
moving.
He wasn't at all. That's what I thought coming into it. In the vignettes, I was like, this guy doesn't fit here. He has no business.
Yeah.
Then he came out and was lucha as fuck. He had match with Ricochet that was insane. And I was like, oh, this guy's incredible and has no business looking that way and moving that way. So when he came to AEW, I was like, he's going to be on fire. Taz is behind him. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then Taz basically puts his hand in front of Brian Cage and goes, I have it from here, and walks out there. And it's like, no!
Yeah.
Like,
That's been my frustration is I like the idea of Taz being a Paul Heyman for him. However, I don't know if he needs a Paul Heyman. Like, Brian Cage can talk. Brian Cage has personality. Brian Cage does cool, silly shit that I love. I don't know if I need Taz making him Taz.
yeah, I don't want another Taz, and I don't like that the positioning they do with the camera. Taz is always right in the middle of the camera's face, and Brian Cage is a good 12 feet behind him. So he looks like a little dude behind him.
Taz, okay, fat joke time, and I can make it because I'm fat. Taz is a big motherfucker.
He's not the shape he used to be.
Yes.
He's a lot more egg-shaped now.
Yeah, he is a shape. It is round. I get that. But if you put Brian Cage behind him, it's like, this man's taking up a lot more camera.
Yes.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yes, and you go, man, Taz is huge, and he's still a badass. Listen to the way he talks.
Oh yeah.
Listen to him be a bad motherfucker. And then you're all like, wait, why did he bring... You know what I tweeted out? Are you familiar? I know it's before you were born, Dick, but have you seen Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Uh,
Oh my god.
It's up your alley, Dick.
Seriously? It's a.
yeah, I'm not much for audience participation. I've had a lot of people try and take me there, and I'm like, I don't want
It's
to
a.
go.
Don't go!
No, not
Don't
the show,
go!
The movie.
Just watch it. Don't go to it. I won't go either, because everyone's always...
I know
Yeah,
that-
people...
Tim, what's his face is in it.
That's
Okay.
Ugh.
Alright. This is not going
how you
well.
would do that to the amazing
This is
Tim
not-
Curry.
This is not going well. Okay.
The guy that
So-
looks like Nigel Thornberry.
Oh.
Yes, and I think he did
Okay.
the voice for Nigel Thornberry, too.
Oh, cool.
That's also why he looks that way. Let's see. Dorkchop wants to watch Lucha Underground. Splinter says all the wrestlers that WWE laid waste. Hopes Cesaro can get out soon. He should have been world champion already. We've gone into it before. I won't go too far down the rabbit hole with Cesaro, but I do think that the fact that we all see him and everyone thinks he should be world champion, and the fact that we always see him in amazing matches is a testament to Cesaro and not to bad booking. Just because we all want our favorites to have the titles at all times doesn't mean they all can. Mr. Perfect, I wouldn't want any other way, and he never held that title. But I would have never had Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect if he'd been in the world title contention at different times. Let's see. Dorkchop says, cast Taz as the next Dr. Eggman and Sonic. Splinter says, I'm not happy how they handled Lance, and he should be TNT champion. I agree with both of that. I think Lance is... I'm not a big fan of that. Dorkchop says Cesaro is a mega boy. Splinter Fox, wow, I can't trust anything that this dude says anymore, making fun of Tim Curry. See? And you say Mr. Perfect a waste, Splinter Fox, but he's a legend, and we still talk to him about this day, and he's a Hall of Famer, and everyone talks about how amazing he is. Is that a waste? Is Roddy Piper a waste? Never world champion. I don't know. I think that there's a difference between being poorly booked and not being a champion. I think those are two separate things.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to what I said before, Clump, in Rocky Horror Picture Show, there's a scene where Tim Curry shows up and shows off his new model he's created, essentially. And it's this dude in a little Speedo, and his name is Rocky. And he just flexes at him and stuff, and he goes, Brad, Janet, look at my new thing, and it's Rocky. And I was like, this is what it feels like every time I see Brian Cage come out with Taz. Taz is coming out and being like, guys, look at this new thing I've brought, and then continuing on. And you're like,
Yeah.
Okay, so he's your model? He's
Yeah.
just the guy to flex for you? Like, it's weird.
The fact that you like a movie where a man flexes for another man, Bad Dragon is very much up your alley.
Let's watch it. We'll watch both these movies back to back.
Oh no.
Oh, wait, Bad Dragon's not a movie.
No, Bad Dragon's like very.
Okay.
We'll make a movie. Anyways.
We got Chet.
That's a big step down. Tim Curry from It, Home Alone 2.
Clue. Need I go on?
Legend.
Yeah.
He was in The Nanny.
I'm sure he was definitely in The Nanny. So, Clump. Anything else you want to say about the FTW title? I was excited to see it was the original one. I thought it was cool he was bringing it. As a ECW mark, I thought it was cool he brought it. But at the same time, as soon as he came out with the bag and he goes, I brought something out here, it's going to blow up people's minds. I went, oh shit, this asshole didn't bring the FTW title, did he? I literally said that while I was sitting here, and producer goes, what? And I was like, I think he brought this dumb title he had a long time ago just to make the fans mark out. Tony Khan's losing his shit in the bag, I think is what's happening. I think he brought it out, and I was like, oh, come on. This is one last thing that Brian Cage doesn't need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think it would be cool as hell if he gave it to Brian Cage and Brian Cage fucking tossed it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want Brian Cage to be like, I don't need your ass.
The only way this works for me is if Brian Cage loses and Taz gets someone else. Because if Taz and Moxley have a feud like Jerry Lawler and Jimmy Hart had in Memphis, I'll be okay with this. If Taz is saying that I have a problem with Mox and I'm going to get whatever mean, bad motherfucker it's going to take that title off of you, that's a story I'm behind. But if this is truly about Brian Cage at all, then they've completely missed the mark.
Yep, absolutely. I feel like what they've done so much of late here is, again, in comparing them to WWE, boy, they're a really, like, we've heard them call WWE a heel factory. AEW is a heel factory. And it's not, they're not doing it well because they're like, cool, it's like Monster of the Week. And then they're gone. And we have these awesome people that I'd love to see more of, but they keep getting pushed down.
You know why it's Monster
Brian Cage
of the
should
Week,
have come
right?
in as a face.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was going to have the pop behind him. He definitely should have.
Yeah, I think Lance Archer should have come in as a face. Like, again, and they could also be complex faces. Like, they don't have to be absolute heels. You have that in MJF. These guys can be in the middle, and that'd be awesome as hell.
I think Lance would have been served well to come in as a mean heel, but I think the gimmick of him pushing over somebody on the way out to the ring, I think actually was less heelish than it looked. Because it came off as cartoony wrestler-ish, and I wanted to take him pretty serious. I was like, this is a dude you can get behind because he's huge and he's mean. But for him to, like, go find a random person to hit and then be fine, like, it took me out of it entirely because you're like, if this was a real sporting event, which I try to approach wrestling from a sporting perspective to a degree, I definitely can suspend disbelief. But if this was any kind of other match of any kind and someone walks around and knocks out a dude, he's not fined and the match goes on, like, what the fuck? It came off as corny wrestling shit to me. It was just hokey. But I think if they had done without that and they didn't ever pair him up with Marco Stunt, I think they could have done a lot of cool things with Lance. Let's see. So that brings me to... So we had FyterFest 2 weeks in a row. And now the third week is Fight for the Fallen. So that means we've had almost a month without Dynamite. What are we going to do?
Create a traveling roadshow of events.
Hell yeah.
I'm okay with that.
My only problem with it is I like these things to feel special. And so I was saying last week is that FyterFest didn't feel special to me. And this show in particular, they felt less special than part one, which I was a little bummed out about. So going through it, we are going to get Moxley versus Cage, it looks like. Oh, what's going on? The chat just had a thing happen. Spinner Fox says they kind of hinted that Bryan is his own man in the road to video. It's going to happen. I bet Mox beats Cage and then Allen beats Cage. Darby Allin beat Cage and take the FTW title, and then Cage goes off the deep end and puts Taz through a table or something, and then Cage is on his own. I don't think Taz wants to take a bump.
Yeah,
But
I don't think.
Dorchop says Fight for the Fallen a week after FyterFest. Shake my head. And agreed, Marsh. Yeah, I just want these things to feel special, and they just didn't feel special. They felt like dynamites.
Whoa, what is happening?
You right?
Clump's doing. Okay,
Is he eating the mic?
Clump just rolled away. He made a noise, and then I just saw nothing. Oh, he's rolling back.
He's rolling back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Putting on his headset.
Here we go. Here we go.
You okay, Clump?
You all right?
Yeah, I had to turn lights on because it's getting dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually producer here. I was really surprised that Fight for the Fallen.
Producer here.
That's not what I sound like.
Okay. Go on.
I was saying, I was surprised that Fight for the Fallen was so soon.
Yeah.
Because I had to take a minute because I think I saw AEW tweet about it, and I was like, wait a minute. We just had a pay-per-view. Like, I was so confused. I was like, there's no way.
I was hoping they would do
so
1 or
soon.
2 weeks in between, but they really didn't. And I think part of it is because I think they want there to be... I think it's all this. I think they're desperate to have a big fight feel. They failed to get that at FyterFest. They thought it was going to be Moxley Cage. And now that they can't have Moxley Cage, and it can't happen during FyterFest, they desperately needed to have a tag behind it. So they put it Fight for the Fallen immediately. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get that. I think the way I was seeing it is that it makes me think of like back to WCW with this. Is you have a network behind you, but they don't. But it feels kind of like that way WCW would put big shit on TV versus on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Which I don't knock, but I appreciate the big fight feel, but they also have made these kind of letdowns. They don't feel big. Make it big.
Yeah.
Go big or go home.
I think that's what it is. I think they want Moxley Cage to feel big, and they don't want to put it off another week. I think that's all we're seeing is they needed to have the tag behind it, and I think it's a bummer because I don't think it's gonna be. I don't know. These two guys are incredible, so it really could be great. But I don't know. This Taz build makes me really wonder.
I know.
Yeah.
Goals and execution are two different things, you know.
Hey, as much as I love FTR, they were in this match with the Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers and the Butcher and the Blade. This is one of those matches where you have to completely walk away from the rules up front. And as much as I love the Rock and Roll Express, one of them, was it Bobby, went on Twitter and said that this was true storytelling. But I was watching this whole match waiting for the story. So someone also tweeted out recently that they realized that wrestling was bro ballet, that it was just hyper synchronized dancing with aggression built in. And I thought they must be watching Young Buck matches because the whole thing that the Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers need to stay away from each other. They are too close in each other's pocket, and they do things for each other that a competitor would never do. It had a lot of great spots. It had a lot of cool things happen, but I felt like it was the most non-story and nonsensical FTR match I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Did you watch it at all?
A little bit. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
But the thing is this, too. Dorkchop says he loves Lucha Brothers and Miss Those Psychos. I love them, too. I can't stand their matches with the Young Bucks because nobody takes any mind to any of the rules, and it's just like watching a video game. Which, video games are cool, but I watch this to not see someone literally help someone into a position to then hurt yourself. Their whole thing they did where they were, climbing up the ropes together and bouncing back and forth so they could do some kind of, arm drag thing. It's what? Why?
So, I just want to make sure we're not coming off as, we just hate this. We hate everything AEW does, because we don't.
I love FTR. I love Lucha Brothers.
But
I don't think they pair well with the Young Bucks.
Well, Splinter is saying that they love that match.
Yeah, Splinter loved the match. And I think that there's a lot of people who will.
Whoa.
Oh, that hurt.
What did you do?
I also really like Brian Cage and Moxley. Both.
So
I also really like Taz. I just think that the way they're going about this is frustrating.
yeah,
Like, I tune in every week because I want to like it. I go to movies because I want to watch the movie and I want to like it. But then you see the execution of it and you go, I don't know why they went that way.
and I mean, producer here, as someone with a lot of dance experience, I don't see how you can say, oh, this is like dancing. And that makes me think, honestly, it makes me think of your favorite ref in that company, who is a dancer as well.
You can't see why someone would say it is like dancing?
Yeah, because it's, like you said, it's supposed to be in the sports realm, and dancing is completely, like, it's not competitive, because it's all interpretation. It's 100% how you interpret a certain, your movements. It's not the same as anything that's supposed to simulate combat. Or,
Well, and Dorkchop says this is the private party is the worst about all the setup stuff, and it drives them nuts. And I agree. I think Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers working together are super intense in setting each other up for things. But he also says he loved the match because it was awesome and it was a spot fest, and he also knows it's a spot fest. And that's what I mean. That's what I was surprised about, is I was sort of more of expecting that FTR being involved. We're very used to them not having spot fest matches. Matches with a lot of high spots is not the same as just a spot fest match. There's usually a lot of psychology. There's usually a ton of rules. There's usually a pace to it. They have typically very classic matches, and that's why I was excited to see FTR with Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers, because I think that Revival versus Usos were incredible matches, and Usos are largely a spot fest team, but when they're forced into going along at the pace of people who are having classic style matches with very much classic tag team psychology, I find that stuff super compelling and really cool. And I felt like this was more like FTR blending in and not standing out, and that bummed me out. Because I felt like they bring a lot to the tag division.
When I think of, like, true dancers, there is a story. Dancers that have, full-on choreographed pieces, there's a story that's happening. It's not just, oh, let me do flashy move, flashy move, flashy move. I mean, there's interpretation. When I think of Spot Fest, the first thing I think of is gymnastics.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it's been playing out like. And maybe that's my problem, is it's just, as much as I think that the athleticism is cool, and I go, oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I can't believe they did that.
Right.
I don't walk away and feel like I'm going to watch that again, or I'm not even at the edge of my seat when there's a pin. You go, okay, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And I'm kind of watching the clock going like, oh, I guess it's going to be about a 25-minute match. There's going to be a lot of false finishes on the way there. Like, I feel like it becomes harder for me to buy into, and harder for me to have that believability, or that suspension of disbelief. I feel like it, more than anything, really solidifies just the disbelief. Like, oh, you have to just sit here and just watch us do these things for 25 minutes, and then we'll end it in a way that's like we end a lot of the other ones. You know what I mean?
Which, yeah, so maybe it's just misrepresentation.
Or maybe just misexpectation. I don't think I should go into a Young Buck match and expect them to do anything outside of that. That's what they're good at. That's what they do. I really thought that them being with the FTR, I thought the FTR was going to influence them, and really it was the FTR blending into the rest. And I think maybe that was my disappointment of it. But like I said, the guys are great at what they do, and Lucha Brothers are insane. Club?
I think my excitement for FTR was in seeing like an evenness to, like, I like Spot Fest at times, but you have to mix it up. That's always been my big, like, I like the Young Bucks, I like Silly, I like it, but then I also want to see a clash of styles with someone else, or I want to see a match where it doesn't feel like so much helping. And I feel like with AEW, what I've seen with the Young Bucks, with Lucha Brothers, and with Private Party has been, we are going to show you the best synchronized performing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I liked seeing Butcher and Blade, and I liked seeing FTR, but I don't want to see this become more, oh, cool, we're just going to help you do your style. I want to see, if anything, the Lucha Brothers or Young Bucks or Private Party trying to work a different style themselves.
Yeah, or it would have been cool if there was a spot where, like, the Lucha Brothers try to do something and FTR just, like, literally walk away from it because I'm not setting you up for this thing. You know what I mean? Like, kind of draw a little bit of attention to it, because you've established this now, that the tag teams are able to get away with whatever they want rules-wise. I mean, even the commentary talks about it. It's not like a big secret. They talk about how FTR showing up is a reintroduction of rules to the company. Like, it's not something they shy from. So I thought it'd be cool if FTR was doing crazy stuff like that. And Splinter Fox brings up when FTR and Butcher and the Blade were in the match, it slowed down. And I do remember liking that bit of it and thinking, like, okay, cool, we're going to see some of this stuff. But as they got more and more involved, it was like, okay, now everybody's in there doing everything. I just think maybe it was just too many people. I'm really excited. Tomorrow's supposed to be FTR and Lucha Brothers. And FTR has been very vocal against the Lucha Brothers' lack of rules. I'm excited to see what they put together, to be honest.
Yeah. Like, I agree. I think it could be an interesting thing if it's done right. I just don't know if I trust it'll be done right.
I'm having such a hard time with the Young Bucks. I feel like that they're in the way of a lot of really great tag matches. You know what I mean? Because I know that what they want to do is the thing that they're the best at, which is a whole bunch of moves in a row. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the match is going to make sense or that it's going to be following any rules to get there. And one of the things I find so cool about tag team wrestling, and I'm a ref, is the way that they utilize the ref and the rules to cheat or to gain advantage or to hold someone back. A lot of the heat that's built on like the heels in tag matches is the way they're able to keep the ref basically working for them because of the rules. But if you just let everyone in to do their things because they want to do this move this way and synchronize this way, it feels a little more boring. It just feels like, I don't know, it just feels like everyone's going in there.
Yeah, no, it feels basic. It feels easy. To me, I feel like my frustration's been this, and we're going to get into an NXT thing, but I feel like this becomes, just leaves me wanting.
Yeah. Yeah. Splinter Fox says FTR will slow down the Lucha Brothers, and Lucha Brothers can work WWE style, slow headlock, leg lock style. I mean, you're talking Memphis style, AWA style. That's not even WWE style. But I think that it'll be interesting and cool if they're able to work together that way. And I think that they are all capable. I think the athleticism between those four guys is outrageous. And I think the psychology that FTR brings to matches is bar none. I really do feel FTR is the greatest tag team in the world. And that's why I was excited to see them pick up work again right away when being let go by WWE. I was excited to see them go try somewhere new where I knew that they were going to be allowed the freedom to do what they want. I'm just very interested to see what it is they want to do. Because sometimes those are not equally the best thing. Like, for me, for example, Jericho, I don't think left to his own devices is the best thing for everyone every time. But Splinter Fox says FTW will abuse the 10 count too. You'll just see it in a different way. I hope so. I want to see them abuse the rules. I want to see them follow the rules. I want to see them get the rules enforced on the Lucha Brothers. I think that'd be interesting. It'd be fun. It'd be cool. It'd be something different than we've never seen in AEW.
I want to see them break the rules, but in a funny way.
Yeah.
In a way that's different.
They don't have to be any rules that we're familiar with. You could make up whatever rules you want as long as there are rules. So how I think of it is, in a comic book world, it could be the most wildest, like outlandish world imaginable, but there are some sort of rules that they're abiding by. That's all. That's what
Yeah.
That's what we kind of want to see.
Dortrap says he just loves wrestling. Give me every style of match, and I get that too. I mean, that's what I mean. I also understand. I've got friends who like their favorite matches of all time are just Spot Fest, but we don't have the same conversations about old Memphis wrestling. You know what I mean? Like I go back and watch that stuff because I thought the story that was being told between Bill Dundee and Jerry Lawler was absolutely incredible.
And that really is why I think of it as gymnastics. Gymnastics are all of the moves are getting based on a point system. You know, dance is completely interpretive, and there's a lot more going on with dance. I feel like they're both athletic in a very, very different way, though.
Splinter Fox says, what I think AEW is messing up on is they're trying to keep up with NXT, and they don't need to. They've beaten the crap out of NXT for a while now. Dork says, by the way, you will like this. Aubrey said on a recent AEW podcast that they are working to put together an actual written and public rule set, and they are more focused backstage on rules being a real thing to work around, which I remember hearing her say as well, although she had an interview on Jericho's podcast where they were very contradictory of each other. Like they kept saying how important it was to follow the rules because it creates tension and it creates stakes, that without rules there's no stakes. And if you have no fear of being disqualified, then there's no need to follow the rules, and none of the rules matter. So that you had to have DQs happen, and Tony Khan didn't want them to happen. But in the same time, they started talking about Jericho matches that she's reffed, and she goes, well, of course I'm not going to DQ you guys. It's a world title match. Nobody wants that. And he goes, yeah, and it was brilliant. Why would you ever DQ us? And you're like, because there's stakes. Like, like you can't go back on it now. I think that their interpretation of the rules is the bigger issue, and the fact that they constantly just say ref discretion, I think is an issue. But I hope that if they do come out with a rule book, that they let it out and people can have it, and that they then start to actually have people break the rules and lose matches because of it. But until you do that, it doesn't matter what rules you make. Make all the rules you want. If no one gets disqualified, and if nobody's enforcing the rule, it doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. Their 10-count rule isn't a real rule because no ref ever starts counting to 10. And the ref that has tried to start counting to 10 stops by 2 or 3.
It's like that parent in the store that tells their kids to do something and lists all these rules, and then the kid doesn't obey and they don't enforce, and then they just keep doing what they want.
Keep doing it. Yeah, keep doing it.
Yeah, and then...
What do you think, Clem?
I mean, I think I agree with you guys. I think this is it's not a loss of rules. It's an interpretation of them and utilizing them. It makes it true, interesting moments to me are the moments where you utilize what you have to do something different. When you totally throw them to the wind or establish that they can't be utilized, then fuck it.
Yeah. I was also surprised by, I've heard Aubrey in several interviews now where she talks about stories of meeting Earl Hebner, but no stories about picking his brain. And I think that's kind of telling, because I can't imagine having that kind of access to Earl Hebner and thinking, oh, how cool, I met Earl Hebner, I'm just going to go do my thing now. I'd want to know everything. And I don't know how much he's involved with the rule book, because it sounds like he's not. It sounds like it's just something she's writing. So, just interesting from somebody who's been doing it for so long that he's not seemingly all that involved.
Yeah, which, I mean, it frustrates me, honestly. Like,
yeah, I just think it's weird.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kenny Omega and Private Party. I think that was solid. It was kind of like another one of the things they've been doing. Lance Archer, Joey Janela. I don't remember paying much attention to that one, to be honest. What did you think of Orange Cassidy and Jericho?
It's been really weird to me that the feud's gotten to this point. That it's a feud at all, and it's so built up. Because it's someone you portray as the most important leading wrestler in it against a comedy act. And yeah, I get it. You know, a comedy act can become more, but you really haven't built him up to that. So it's very weird that it's become like, oh, cool, I'm going to fight Jericho now. It's weird.
The build seemed weird. I thought the build was weird, but did you see much of the match?
I remember I didn't watch AEW this week.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched any like clips or anything. I felt like it wasn't a bad match, but I felt like Jericho seemed way out of place. It to me played out like when I think of how they say that Jericho is there. Oh, Splinter Fox says Joey is the most underused talent in AEW. Don't insult my boy Joey. Dorkchop says, I'll be honest with you though, he cut that crazy cool promo right before. Oh shit! This was a while ago. This was way before. It was right before Hard Times. Actually, he cut a couple promos on AEW that really had me thinking twice about him. And I've come a long way as far as along with him. I wish he grabbed gear that fit him better, but I do think that he actually is completely underutilized. I feel like he's one of the guys who's given the least amount of rope, who should be given a lot more, and some of the guys who are given so much more rope need to be given a little less. So I agree with that completely. I think his mind for it, the more I've been finding out about it, is it's all there. He just does stupid shit sometimes, so he needs somebody to rein him in and say, hey, don't do this stupid shit. But I think that he's got a good mind for this stuff. Let's see. Dorkship says, yeah, tights over trunks. But I felt like Jericho came off really out of place. He looked to me like, so they talk about how Jericho's their Hogan. And Jericho tries to say, he talks shit about Hogan when he talks about the NWO days and talks about how he buried talent and would never put people over, and that doesn't work for me. And he would do his 4 things. I think the way he's interpreted being different is that he comes off to me as like a guy who wants the young kids to think he's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he comes off like, oh, I'll do the type of match that you guys like to do because I'm cool and I'm innovative and you guys will like me. He's Uncle Barbecue. He's Uncle Barbecue. And he came off that way in the match, where you're watching the match like, this doesn't feel like a Jericho match. This doesn't at all come off like any match I've seen of Jericho. I mean, and I recently was watching Jericho and Shawn Michaels and stuff, and you're like, you know how to do this in a different way, and it just came off a lot like he's just trying to fit in and wants the guys to think he's cool, and it was weird.
I'm not a regular mom, cool mom.
Yeah. Let's see, the match. Splinter Fox says the match was amazing. It showed that Orange can fight when he wants to. He is a sloth of wrestling. His gimmick, toe attacks, and he ended it with an actual super kick, was amazing. I thought it showed that he's got a lot of talent. I don't know that I buy into this character that doesn't seem to give a shit and anybody cares. Like, it kind of, I mean, sort of like how, remember Aleister Black was in the closet for a long time, kept saying, pick a fight with me?
Yeah.
And I kept going, then why are you here? Go pick a fight with someone. I thought the whole idea was that everyone wants to be on top. Everyone wants to be the top of the division. I don't understand. I'm not behind Orange Cassidy's character because he doesn't seem to want to be there, so leave. I'm not going to get invested in someone who will only do stuff when they want to do. I'm more interested in the characters who are about thriving or about upheaval or the underdogs type stories, or even the people who've just been applying themselves for so fucking long, like a Brian Cage. But if a guy goes in there and goes, yeah, I don't really want to be here, I guess I kind of have to kick you, and then the other person just doesn't beat the shit out of him, or then starts to, and then he goes, okay, I'll fight back. I'm not interested in that character. I just go, okay, then why is he here? Like, if I'm Jericho, why would I have a match with somebody who doesn't want to be in the ring with me? I'm Jericho. You know what I mean? Dorkchop says, Jericho got Cassidy over in a loss better than anyone could have. I really enjoyed the match. Marked out for the legit supercut spot, too. I'm a huge Cassidy mark, though. I thought the super kick looked nice. It was tight. But I don't know. Is Orange Cassidy really that over? I don't know that Jericho needs to be taking wins over these guys anyways. I think it would have been more telling if Orange Cassidy won a match that he didn't want to be in than lose another match that he doesn't want to be in. Like, I mean, does it make you even care about the character taking a loss if he doesn't care to be there to begin with?
I get that argument. Yeah, I think it would have meant more to me to have Orange Cassidy win, but, you know, Orange Cassidy's a character that I like and find interesting, but inherently I don't really get because I'm kind of similar. Is I think if you don't care, then don't be there.
Oh, I think Kev's trying to call.
I don't see it.
Maybe drag Clump over to your screen.
Oh.
Head him back and then bring Clump back over.
Oh, I wish I could see this. Okay.
Yep. Dorkchap says, can't beat Jericho, though. He's still at the top of the card, more or less, in a legend. It's only his, third or fourth singles match on Dynamite. Oh, wait, it's not Dynamite. It's FyterFest. That's right. It's not Dynamite. And I also think that Cody loses too much. I think the Young Bucks lose too much. So I agree that you can't just have Jericho out there losing. I think you got to protect the losses, because I think that one of the biggest issues with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega's and Cody's booking is that they're portrayed as being the best in the company. They are not, however, the best in the company when they lose and don't have titles and things like that. So I agree that you can't just feed Jericho a loss.
I agree with that.
You're gonna hit ring and you're gonna call him. Where's
Oh, you want me to call him?
Yes.
I thought you said he was calling.
Booked into a corner with Jericho, and I think that too. But I also thought that, like, why are we even going here with this other than pandemic and things are different right now? So I thought it was cool. People wanted to see the match; they got to see it. I didn't jump out of my seat in the end. You know what I mean? You're just like, the guy doesn't want to be in the match. I mean, I was kind of out of it for a while too, because it's like, if you're trying to beg this guy to be in the match with you, I'm not interested. Is Kevlar back?
Trying to get there.
Couch,
There he is. What's up, Kev?
Trying to get there. Hold on.
Ooh, he's showing us a close up of his Ric Flair shirt. Nice.
There you go.
Yep.
Hey, Kevlar, what'd you think of Orange Cassidy versus Cody? No, Jericho.
It was okay. I didn't quite. I don't know. I just wasn't that invested into it.
I speculate I wasn't that invested because Orange Cassidy didn't seem to want to be there.
Yeah, but that's Orange Cassidy's gimmick.
Yeah, I know, but it's a gimmick I just walk away from then. Well, here's the guy who doesn't want to be out here. Why am I going to care?
I can't get my headphones to turn on, so...
It's all right. We can hear you fine.
All right.
Dorkchop says he sought out the match for weeks and he's been antagonizing Jericho. Splinterfox says Cody should not be the TNT champion, and they need to fix that belt too. Yeah, they do. They need that belt to look good. Although I saw the image they put out of what they believe to be the final image, and I don't know that it looks all that much nicer. I just think that it's kind of a plain belt. I think that's what we're going to end up with. Dorkchop says, mind you, it's his lazy way, but still. But that's just it. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe I just don't get the character enough to care about it.
Yes, sir.
Cool. I don't think I can't hear Marshall also.
You said you can't hear me.
Huh?
Hello? Who did you mute? You.
Ooh,
Can you guys hear me in the chat?
I can hear you.
I'm lazy though, Marsh. I can identify with him. I think Dorkchop can hear me. Kevlar can hear me.
How this goes.
Oh my god. Clump suddenly can't hear me. He's the only one.
That's bizarre.
Everyone. Audio is good.
Right.
Clump, check your settings.
Sorry.
He's doing this shit on purpose.
Nah, you're good. I'm going to take my own bathroom break.
Oh my god.
Okay. Well, see you later, forever.
I will be right back. They will yell. It's okay.
I had to change shirts, you know.
It's like they just switched off.
Yeah, like what the hell is this,
Kevlar
man? It
comes
shifts
back,
now.
And then Pump leaves. Yeah, this is tag.
Alright, now I wish that you had not watched NXT because I just did that whole thing with Dorkchop, Splinterfox, and Clump being like, yeah, I mean, well, sure. So now we've got you coming in at least for NXT, Great American Bash, second day. Too big for just 2 nights.
I watched No again this week, so.
Was there anything particular you wanted to talk about? You know what we didn't get your take on? We might as well. The FTW belt. What do you think about that coming in?
To me, felt like just Taz plugging himself.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, like, hey, look at this, and then it's like we wanted, or it felt like AEW trying to emulate WWE putting the belt on everyone. So they're like, oh, we need a second belt. Let's bring this, and I hate that they need multiple belts on, one person.
Yeah.
Both
Seems weird. Does seem weird. Was there anything in particular that you really loved about AEW that week?
I like the puppy rumble. It was hard to follow, but I mean, in hindsight, like last week, I was shitting on it, like, wow, they're putting Animal Planet on blast, and going for Shark Week ratings, and it was, to find out it was like for a good cause and it was charity. It was just hard to follow because all the puppies were siblings. And they
Yeah, puppies do not follow the rules, and it's kind of an asshole thing of them.
But either does AEW, so it was perfect.
Oh yeah, it was perfect. It couldn't have gone better.
Yeah.
I guess MJF's puppy won. I think Penelope
Yeah.
Ford's puppy.
Yeah, Penelope Ford and MJF. I'm trying to think. Oh, one of the things I was a little annoyed about, and it might just be because they had to fill Moxley's match, is that the not the Young Bucks, Kenny and Hangman fought again.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. They fought back to back. Yeah.
Because if it was a traditional pay-per-view, you had your match and that's it. And they had another championship match, and I, like I said, I'm not very familiar with Kenny. I'm pretty much just America, or I follow the wrestling in America, I should say. And this, I've always heard about Kenny and how great he is, and AEW is like looks garbage. I was like, this guy's all hype, kind of like Adam Cole, and he just wasn't there. Last week, I was like, okay, I see where people are coming from. I see the talent. I see this. This is great. This is the Kenny I need to see. And then the match this week, took a few steps back again with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think he... I don't know what they're doing with him.
And how do you guys feel about next week is Fight for the Fallen?
Oh, so I speculated that the entire reason of that was because they need to have the Moxley-Brian Cage match over a pay-per-view type thing, so they rushed Fight for the Fallen.
You can't hear anyone, Clump?
Uh-oh.
You have to check your own settings, Clump.
Okay.
Can you hear me,
Because we
Clump?
can sure as shit hear the hell out of all that noise he's doing. But that was my speculation, was that because they had to put off Moxley and Cage and they have to do it the week after, they just named the week after Fight for the Fallen because they just don't want it to happen on a Dynamite, even though it's been just Dynamite anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would have been better if they just left it as Dynamite, because then it's like, hey, this is our weekly show and our championship is, on the line.
Clump, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Oh.
All
Yeah,
right.
you can hear your heavy breathing.
Yeah, you're breathing like a pug, dude.
I had to pee.
That's not.
Yeah.
And everyone's yelling at him in the chat.
Yeah, that's not pee breathing. Let's see. They are. Dorktrip says they're planting seeds on BTE of the cleaner Kenny character coming back, and I'm so excited. Maybe. I mean, I agree with. Someone put out a tweet too where they said that everyone was concerned about Kenny going to WWE because he might just end up being just another person on the card and not be the star of the show like he should be. And then he goes to AEW and everyone says this is where he should be, and then becomes just another person on the card and he's not the star of any of it. And I completely agree with that. I'm so confused as to how he ended up the way that he did. And I think that if you're going to build these people as the best in the world and the elite, they need to be presented as such, because nobody, no matter how much Tony Khan begs and pleads, nobody has gone back to watch all of NJPW. You didn't already see it. So you're portraying to a shitload new audience who don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's 100% me. And we said from the beginning of AEW is that they don't care about the casual viewer.
Yeah.
Somebody tuning in for the first time, like, hey, this guy's the greatest, or the Young Bucks are the greatest tag team in the world. And then, I don't want to shit on all their matches, but, they lay a dud out there, and it's like, really? This is what you're hyping up as the greatest?
Well, yeah, but they also have a pretty losing record, because beating the Young Bucks is so important and means so much. Except for anybody who's just been watching AEW, then it's just that team that loses and everyone says is the best, and it's very confusing. You know, they're the best because of things that they never did on AEW. I know that people would have shit on them for booking themselves very strong, and I know that there's that double-edged sword of being the VPs and being booked to win, but I also think that that would have been necessary to establish that you guys are the best. Yes, of course we're the EVPs. Of course we're the backbone of this because we are the best. And make that the whole story. You know what I mean? Let them be heels, but like... or be the authority, or be the nice authority, or whatever you want to do with it. But, like, I don't understand how they can lose as much as they lose and then still come out every week and cut these promos in FTR saying that they've single-handedly held down tag divisions and tag team wrestling and are the greatest tag team in the world, and they're not the tag champions in their own company, where they hire the tag teams they want to fight and apparently only bring in talent better than them. Like, it's just confusing. Yeah. It's confusing because the way they present it.
Yeah, and I hope they get to the point where they have all the belts. The Elite holds all the gold.
I think it'd be dope.
Yeah, I think they got derailed because I think WWE, went back and, a little slapped the face when they gave all the gold to Undisputed Era.
Oh, you think I shook them?
Yeah, I think it was like, hey, we're going to do this before you type of thing. And, we speculated they've done things similar to that in different scenarios. And I think this was a case of that. Like, oh, shit, we can't strap ourselves with all the belts off the top. And, like, all right, you're mimicking NXT.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I could see that. It's on total shock. And Splinter Fox was saying he thinks the big issue with AEW is that they're trying to compete with NXT and keep up with NXT, but they shouldn't because it's just been kicking their ass. I mean, in this head-to-head for two night, they were not beating them by a large margin, and I think that's worth noting because I think it's interesting because I really expected AEW to continue to do very well in the ratings. And I'd also say kicking the shit out of is being generous because the ratings haven't been that gapped. They've been pretty close for the most part, which is why I was so shocked night one had a huge gap.
Yeah. I will say, I hope Punk's sitting down. Sounds like he's jamming out on his keyboard. Mm-hmm. But I will say, last week, I think NXT beat AEW handily.
Oh, easily.
I think everyone was talking about NXT, and no one was talking about AEW.
Is the opposite. I think AEW won, but barely. Because I think both brands almost put everything out on the table week one. And it's like, hey, this is us. And I think both shows suffered the second week because, they had to live up to the hype and they just didn't.
I would say the opposite. And I would say I think NXT won both weeks handily. And I think this week especially NXT won because of the last match.
Yeah.
I think
but I mean as an overall product, I think AEW was a better show. The last match in NXT was better than all the other matches, but I think AEW would squeak by in that win because, like I said, it's a lot closer, but it's just because the show as a whole.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think that match made that show for me, and it was a really big moment for me. I think, though, also like, I don't know, man. I think AEW's puts out a lot and is really trying, but I feel like they're also not consistently building and building and building. So I'm like watching it and almost expect it to be like, yeah, this is fantastic and great and awesome, but I want to see more consistency. I want to see them do more and make this more important to me in the long term.
Yeah, I do feel that the FyterFest card felt really thrown together. Like there wasn't a ton of story behind anything, and the most story I think we had was Orange Cassidy and Jericho. I mean the Moxley and Cage stuff aside, that is what it is. But most of these matches were like announced the week before that it all started, so it was like not a lot of build, but the matches came out good. I actually ended up, to be honest, I watched all of AEW because I was curious about the next match. I did want to see what happened in the next match, and NXT I never even finished it.
Yeah,
Like, just to be completely honest, I watched the first half of it. I got past Gargano and Swerve, and I went to bed. And then the whole rest of the week, I knew that the only matches left were Breezango and Drake against Legado del Fantasma, and I have no interest in watching Breezango at all. So I just didn't want to see it. After that was Santana Garrett versus Mercedes Martinez. And that I already know what that's going to be because Mercedes Martinez is a badass. And Santana Garrett comes out looking like a dollar shop Wonder Woman. So I kind of know how that's going to go.
But it was so weird because you would think that would be a squash match, and it wasn't.
Well, because they're still trying to build Santana. It's just weird she comes out like that.
Yeah. I was thrown off because I thought it was going to be a squash match. You know, Mercedes comes in, kicks her ass, and we're like, all right, I'm done. And it wasn't. It was like there was some back and forth, and I wasn't interested in it. I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to sit through another Adam Cole match. I just had absolutely no desire. Knowing already how it ended, and knowing it was half an hour of Keith Lee trying to put Adam Cole away, I just not interested. I'm well enough along to be happy for Keith Lee, to love that Keith Lee did it, and I get it that Adam Cole was a champion for 400-something days, so he can't just go down in a squash. They've got to show that he was a dominant champion for a reason, but I also never believed any of his other wins. So I just didn't want to sit through another showing of Adam Cole being impossible to lose because he's just the greatest ever, even when someone's caving in his skull.
Yeah, and that was the problem with me because you look at both the competitors in that match, and it's like there's no way Adam Cole can win. In a fair match, no interference. There's no way Adam Cole can win. And that was one of the things, we kind of texted each other back and forth on it, was, WWE is known to hype their numbers on weight and height and stuff like that. But they said Adam Cole was 6 foot and weighed 210.
Yeah.
And I was like, but then at the same time, they build Keith Lee at 6'3", and I was like, there's 9 more inches of Keith Lee than there was Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Well, I sent you guys that picture that kind of that came around this week where comparing who's it? Will Ospreay and Adam Cole, and they're both built at 6 foot. And Will Ospreay's got 6 inches on Cole.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Splinter Fox says Lee is going to be the same thing. You'll see Lee is going to be overpowered just like Brock. It's going to be trash. But the thing is Lee's already not overpowered. He could barely put away Adam Cole. He barely won against Dijakovic anytime he won. He only barely skirts by. He's not overpowered at all. This isn't the Drew McIntyre. This is like he's already not overpowered, which I think that Keith Lee would do some good by being a little bit more powered. I wish that it would have been, what would that have been a statement if Keith Lee goes in there against Adam Cole and 3 minutes lays him out and just goes, you never saw me coming. You know what I mean?
But all 145 pounds of him away.
Yeah.
Good.
I was just going to say, I'm curious. I want to see Adam Cole and Drake Maverick standing next to each other.
I want to that made me really want to. I want to go backstage so I can see how tall I compare to people.
Yeah, you want a meet and greet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like when we met Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and I know that as you get older, you shrink a bit, but I was expecting to be a significant amount shorter than Jim Duggan and not the same height.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Dorkchop says he agrees that Keith Lee keeps trying to prove he can work, and we all know he can work. Just murder someone once in a while. 100%. Like I keep saying that all these matches, especially Adam Cole matches, none of them mean anything when you always have 4 false finishes. That means that none of your finishes are actual finishes. That means your finisher is not a finisher. That means that your false finishes are not false finishes. They're just another pinfall attempt. That's all it means. Yeah. When you undermine the idea of squash matches or matches being short, then you're completely undermining the thing about matches that make them great when you think that someone can do it when you didn't think they could before, right? Like, when people, I think the problem is people look back at these Shawn Michael matches that are the greatest matches that people want to talk about, like Undertaker Shawn and Ric Flair Shawn, Brett and Shawn. They want to go back and talk about Shawn being the greatest of all time. They watch these matches be 30, 40 minutes long with several false finishes. But before they got to that match, there was a lot of no false finish matches. There was a lot of every single match when you go, oh, and then the commentator goes, they're trying to figure out what is it going to take to put him away. You're like, I don't know, maybe the same thing it takes to put everyone else away you ever have a match with, which is 11 more of that thing. Because you've never won with that once before. You know, you need, I forget what it was. But there's actually like a number that I think it was Lawler said was you need to beat someone 1,000 times with a finish before they'll believe that it's crazy someone didn't lose to the finish. Like, I've never seen Adam Cole put someone away with the last shot. I've never seen it. He's always had to do it multiple times. So the first time he does it, you go, okay, well, they're going to kick out. And then he acts like, how could they kick out? Well, they all do. Everyone does. You know what I mean?
It's not a good finisher. It's not a finisher. It's a signature move. You know, the thing that got me with this match that I took negatively is there wasn't much, I don't want to say chemistry, but there wasn't much strategy. Where, you know, you went back and watched Brett versus Undertaker, and Brett would be technical and go for his leg.
Yeah.
Hey, this is how I'm going to beat him. I'm going to wear down his leg, you know. And yeah, it set up the sharpshooter and stuff like that, but it made it believe, like, hey, Brett has a chance. Brett's smaller, he's undersized, he's got a chance, he's going after this dude's legs. And Adam Cole just wrestled an Adam Cole match.
Yeah. If it was Johnny Gargano, it would have been the same match.
Yeah.
And that's my problem is all of Adam Cole matches are the same.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who he's in there with, they all play out exactly the same. That's why I just didn't want to sit through one more. I've seen them all. I've seen the only thing you know how to do, dude, which is this one match with a million false finishes. Splinter Fox says, LOL, they try to be NJPW so much, but they don't get it right with the false finishes. And I think the thing is that they think that every match is going to be a 5-star match, and you can always put on these 5-star matches, and that what made that match so compelling was these false finishes. But it's also about how did you get to the false finish, and I think that that's being completely negated. Mm-hmm. Never seeing an Adam Cole match where he put someone away with one last shot means that I will never buy in to a false finish with the last shot. It doesn't exist. You are weak. You cannot put people away. You being surprised it didn't do it again just makes you look dumb to me, and I just can't get behind you. Dorkchat brings up a good point. The surprise roll-up is the most devastating finish, and it is. Yeah. Because we don't get paid by the hour. We get paid by the winning. Splinter Fox says, like Johnny did when he faced Lee on a body part, he picks it apart. Yeah. Like, that's the kind of stuff that makes sense. How are you going to beat a dude who's that big? I mean, we also saw Keith Lee throw Adam Cole across the entire fucking arena when he chucked him over the thing. Yeah. And then now in here, he can't punch him hard? What the fuck? I just don't get it. I don't get why you protect Adam Cole that much.
Well, and I think, like, part of it too, man, is like make a finisher something that's kind of a bitch to set up, and you might do okay. Like, I really don't like Johnny Gargano's finisher, that like weird setup DDT, but it makes sense that it's protected because it's a bitch to set up. Like, he's not going to get it out of nowhere, and because he does that, well, yeah, then he's going to win with it. You get what I mean? Like, make it so these like, if your finisher takes 20 times to take someone out, then it's not a finisher. But if your finisher is something that is really easy to do, but you never do, and it's protected, then why don't you do it every time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you make it something so complex and difficult to put together, but you know it's going to win, well, then yeah, it's going to be a moment like the One-Winged Angel, that Johnny Gargano dumbass thing. They are kind of difficult to do, so yeah, it makes sense that he'll win with it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Shawn Michaels had a ton of matches where he didn't win with a super kick.
Mm-hmm.
And Dorchop brings up that over 60 matches in WWE ended in surprise roll-up finishes since the start of 2020. Split says like the RKO. Dorchop says good shit. But I think that those 60 roll-ups is what protects the finish, right? Think of how many finishes, and just to throw out one because I can think of it happening a dozen times, how many times Bayley's been winning with these roll-ups? Because when you see her do the Bailey to belly, or you see her do the elbow, or that rose plant thing that she does, you know it's pretty much over. That rose plant one, no one's really kicked out of. So if you can win the matches without getting to there, because especially like you said, some of these maneuvers are hard to get into. That weird rose plant thing she does is hard to maneuver. It looks weird. If you can't get to that, you just got to win. And then when you see those moves happen, it becomes more like, oh shit, because you haven't seen it every single match. You're not expecting or waiting for it. You know that the match could end at any time otherwise. You know what I mean?
Well, see, and that's one of the problems I've always had with NXT is that, you know, and we've discussed this before, where they always want the 5-star matches. You know, before it was, hey, let's put on the best show we can so we can get the call, so we can get to the main roster.
Yes.
Now they establish as NXT as their own individual brand, like, hey, this is just another brand. This isn't developmental anymore. They still have these matches, and you're like, well, why are you having these WrestleMania type matches every week when you don't need to? You need the roll up. You know, how many? I want, you know, an interesting statistic would be how many NXT matches ended in a roll up, because I'm guaranteeing you that number's probably close to 0.
Yeah, it's much less. Yeah, and it's weird. NXT has like the least protected finishers of all time.
Yeah.
We did like seeing Swerve and Gargano wrestle. It was fun.
That was a good match.
Yeah.
I did have a problem with that, and this is something that made me think of, like, we've talked about Ricochet a lot. How Ricochet makes everything look fluid, makes everyone look amazing, and he makes these incredibly ornate moves make sense. Swerve Scott, yeah, he looks good, but I felt like there was a few spots in that match where I was like, yeah, this is something where they're working together to make this work.
For sure.
And it didn't make sense to me. Like, I was like, it felt like a spot in the sense of like, yeah, if he had landed that right or done this in a different way, that would have made a lot more sense. You know?
Yeah, I think both of those guys are culpable to that too. I think Gargano often looks like he's trying to get to the spot he needs to be in for no reason. And yeah, Isaiah Scott too. I don't think this was a perfect match, and I do think that's one of the things that makes Ricochet so amazing is how you watch his matches and you're all like, how did he like he's
How'd
always
you do
exactly how'd you fucking do that? Like, how did I not notice you going over there? Like, what did you do? Like, where with like Scott and Gargano and a lot of guys in NXT, it's that same kind of indie. All right, we all go over here now. Okay, well, why do I have to be on this side of the ring to do this thing? And you're like, well,
shit.
Well, just how fluid Ricochet is, and you know, that's a bad example because Ricochet's amazing.
Next level, man.
Yeah, and he's, you know, kind of underappreciated right now in his role, but he's amazing in the fact that you don't need to see him, you know, walk on the outside of the ring or, you know, oh, I have to roll 5 times to get to the next spot. He's just there.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if it's camera work or whatever, or if it's 100% him, which I believe it is him. And just
No, we've seen him live. Remember
Yeah.
Takeover, dude? Takeover
yeah.
Phoenix? Yeah, it was insane.
And, you know, it just shows to his caliber that he's, you know, in the right spot where he needs to be every time. And you don't have these moments where, you know, during the match you see somebody walk over to their next spot, or, hey, I have to be at this spot and now I'm going to sit here for 5 minutes. You know, he's just there when he needs to be. You don't see it before that.
Yeah. Torque Chop says contract to the case of the Indies. That's what I'm saying. We did like seeing Bronson Reed come out. Tony Nese. That's one of producer's favorites, Bronson Reed.
I like that as well.
Yeah, I like Bronson Reed a lot. It's a fat guy thing.
Fat guy thing.
We gotta stick together.
Yeah.
You're
Except
not
like
gonna
when
tell
we're all
them about
too
all
close
your
together,
likes?
because then it gets too hot and sweaty. Just
Yeah. We ride
Producer-
together, we die together. Bad boys for life.
Producer gets
Honestly-
likes from Bronson Reed all the time on her tweets. They got a thing
Aw.
going.
Uh-oh. Watch out,
It's
Marsh.
like they're like best friends.
Yeah. She moved on from Ricochet. That was a nice segue. I see that you did there.
Yeah, I had to remind
I think-
her. The
hey,
big
nothing,
guys
nothing
are cool.
bad there. Yeah. Thick boys, thick.
Thick.
I'm
No
gonna
cake.
say this too.
Big.
What did Candice LeRae and Mia Yim? My biggest issue with that whole match is they were both like dressed way too like cute. Like you're in a street fight and you look like you're going to like some sort of Instagram modeling photo shoot. It was
This
really
is the-
confusing for me.
See,
Yeah,
I
this
didn't
is-
have a problem with it.
Matter of fact, now that you bring it up,
I didn't have a problem with it because if they showed up in their normal ring gear, I would have been more disappointed. And I think this was them trying to be edgy, street brawl, but cute at the same time. And I can see where it missed the mark on some people, but it's better than them showing up in their ring gear.
This is the time that Mia Yim is supposed to wear Tims, though. Not just Tims, but we're like Tim Pros. Laced up, the steel toes.
she had Tim's on.
Yeah, no, but like, wear the Timberland Pro ones. Wear the ones that like, wait, those don't look like fashionable Tims. Those look like fuck up Tims. Look,
Yeah. And it didn't like
She
take me
switched it
out of the
up.
match. It just there was a number of times I was like, this is a little weird. Like,
Yeah.
shouldn't they be wearing pants, like ripped up pants?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I get it. If I'm gonna wrestle, I'm going to wear nothing but like I'm always gonna wear Timberlands. Like personally, that's because they're functional, they're fashionable, and they're fuck you upable.
That's a good point. It's a good point.
We're not sponsored by Timberland, by the way.
Please, Timberland, I've bought so many of your boots.
As much as that plug was, Clum, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Let's see in the chat
Fashionable,
real quick.
Functional, fuck upable.
Splinter says, for example, they finally brought back Belair and Shayna because they only put over so many talents like Becky, Flair, Bayley, Banks, and Bliss. So when a couple get hurt, they have to do something. They need to build more than a handful. I mean, I think that's arguable about who they're putting over when. I think they're more particular about it. He said he loves the Attitude Era when a talent was on every other Raw. They built up talent. I think there's also a lot of everything's really weird right now. We don't know who's coming on when or why. And I also think that there's something to be said for not just putting someone on every show if you don't have the right story for them. What the fuck just happened here? Because I think it can be really undermining to put somebody on the show. I mean, I would have rathered... I'm actually happy Shayna came back this way and was gone for a bit. Because she's just kind of away, and you're like, where the fuck is Shayna? Last we saw her, she was kicking the shit out of everybody. And then she comes back, and is like, yeah, I've been sitting back there giving you guys time to sort this shit out, but I'm kind of tired of it. I'm just going to beat the shit out of everybody again. Kind of just reminds you what she's up to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I think if she was out there every week having another squash match, what would have proved? It would have been more of a question of like, why does she keep having squash matches, and why doesn't she go for somebody that matters? And then she comes out in this week, and you're like, wait a second, is she gonna beat up R-Truth? You know what I mean? Like,
I
That's-
thought she was going to take the 24/7.
yeah, I was
be
positive,
tight.
dude. Was positive. But before we get to that, oh, Splinter Fox says they were wearing streetwear. It was a street fight. Yes, I know, but I'm saying their streetwear was, well, I mean, I guess working the street versus fighting in the street. Anyhow,
That wasn't working the street. That was...
Boy, this sounds offensive.
I don't know how it got here.
Well, this is your alley.
Splinter Fox says Shayna was in the Vince Doghouse. They said he didn't understand the MMA gimmick. Brock, Ronda, hello, former MMA fighters. Exactly, Splinter Fox. We don't believe almost anything we read in dirt sheets because the thing is it turns out they're wrong a lot and they have no idea what's actually going on. It's just people like us who just say what we think because it makes sense. They're feeding into that Vince narrative that he just hates what we love and loves what we hate, and that's everything that he wants to be. So when they don't see Shayna on TV, they go, well, obviously Vince hates her. And not thinking, well, I wonder what they're building for Shayna. It's just a narrative that came from absolutely no one who knows nothing about the business and has nobody on the inside. It was easy to dismiss that one to me.
Well, and that's the thing that gets me with this whole, like you said, the Vince narrative is, hates what we love and loves what we hate. If that was the case, WWE would have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah. Luckily, Vince loves good stuff, and that is why we got karaoke this SmackDown.
Jeez, bro.
Well, I'm hoping we have a karaoke battle every week now. That was the greatest segment of all time.
Little Nash asked why they didn't have masks on. He thought it was a Masked Singer.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, yeah, let's get into SmackDown.
Oh, God.
That karaoke showdown was really weird in that nobody looked good, and apparently none of them can really sing that great. So I don't know why you build towards this. Or, I mean, you say build, but I say build because they clearly worked on this. They all had costumes ready to go. They all knew every word to every song. This was unlikely to be a last-second decision, but none of them had a supreme singing voice to make you go, oh, shit. I didn't know they could sing like that. So I don't know how we got there and how they went, yeah, play it through.
It's just...
Corey said it. They're like, oh, they mentioned karaoke, and Corey's like, yeah, I don't know how we got here. And it's like, exactly, no one does. It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and then there was even a Twitter that said, who do you think won karaoke showdown? And Corey responded to it saying nobody won. There were only survivors.
Yeah.
But it was weird. And what a weird way to get to Naomi and Lacey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you ask me, though, this barefoot fight, in the past 2 months, we've seen Robert Stone barefoot, Sasha Banks barefoot. We've got Lacey now, Naomi. Lana's been coming out in bare feet. I think whoever their newest in creative is a major contributor to Wiki Feet.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Quentin Tarantino was hired by WWE.
Yes. I think that's where they've been going this whole time.
It's really, like, this is SmackDown's not been bad in a while, but this was bad.
This was a bad episode. It was also, even the stuff that was, semi-enjoyable wasn't great.
Yeah.
I thought the Sasha Bailey, Alexa, Nikki match was a good match, but it also seemed kind of out of place with everything else that was going on. It was like, okay. And it wasn't like a surprise or shock kind of how it went. It was just a good match in the middle of a show.
Yeah.
Replaying the Universal Championship was also kind of like, okay.
It wasn't a fantastic match. New. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't need it.
This is what drives me crazy right here is because I think they showed it because of the response the Boneyard match got. And it's like, all right, the caliber of these two matches or segments, if you want to call them, are, apples and oranges type of thing. And I think what they're trying to do, or tried to do, was build up to the swamp match.
Yeah.
And I was like, this did not get me excited for the swamp match at all.
I thought you said clump match for a second. I was like, what am I doing?
Clump versus clump. But,
that's just life.
Yeah, that's a struggle, man.
It just did not get me excited the way I think that they wanted it to.
Yeah, I mean, even the Miz Hardy match wasn't that great. And yeah, SmackDown in and of itself wasn't easy to get through. The only thing I thought is that they're building towards one. I mean, you got obviously a Naomi Lacey thing starting to happen, and you have no idea why they had to go that route. Two, they're building a little bit towards the swamp fight without having to do anything to build it. You're just showing the tag team champions again, which we've all been saying for a long time that the tag titles need to have a little bit more airtime, so fine. Jeff in a bar fight now, and then we get Shinsuke and Cesaro against the New Day that ends in a no contest because they're all beating the shit out of each other with weapons. So you go, okay, well that's going to move on to Extreme Rules, but we're coming up on Sunday now, and they haven't said that they have a match. Yeah, so it's like, so I'm guessing this SmackDown they're going to say it, and then it's going to go right into it, right?
Yeah, they have to, because I think this segment should come up like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, build it and be like, all right, cool, this is going to happen. You know, obviously, you know, the way we do our show, we're kind of a week behind on SmackDown before the weekend. And, you know, it's like, what possible step do we take next that's going to make sense for them?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
I want to say also, like, in the... why do we keep going back into the Jeff Hardy drinking thing over and over again? Like, it's not been great. Okay, we ended the thing with Sheamus, who was possibly a part of this. Why do we keep going into it over and over and over again? Because it's just kind of shitty and, like, poking fun at it. And it's not like CM Punk had a feud with Jeff Hardy where his demons were part of the feud. And, you know, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. But this is just like, it's just kind of like whatever. It makes something... It doesn't benefit Jeff. You know, like, I could get the argument of, like, yeah, it's showcasing somebody who succeeded. Great. Do it better.
Yeah, I don't think they've nailed it, but I also don't agree with the interpretation that it's presenting him as a junkie, because the only person who's calling him that is the asshole in the story, and nobody on commentary or in the ring or anyone else has agreed with him, just the assholes. So I do agree that I think the storyline in and of itself is that it's a success story, a survivor story, and a point of intended inspiration. But it does feel like it's not quite hitting right. But I don't agree that he's being portrayed as a junkie, because I don't see that. I see the asshole calling somebody a name based off of something else, and somebody standing in the face of it and saying, that's not who I am. So I get it, but yeah, it's just not clicking right.
Yeah.
No, I don't. That part of what I don't like about it, it's not necessarily that we're like we're doing it. We're like, yeah, we're accepting that we're portraying Jeff as this. To me, it's more the portrayal of him as fragile. Because this is something that keeps coming up. Why can't he just be a wrestler? Why can't we find other things to make him different about? Why do we have to do this and half-ass it more than anything? If you're going to go about the storyline of him being somebody who's overcome this, okay, go for it. This just feels like half-assed.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like... What's up?
I agree 100% with what you're saying, is that they're doing it half-assed. And they are doing it half-assed. I think that, you know, I think Jeff does want to lead into a, hey, look at where I've overcome, you know, like a spokesman for it. But I think where they're going for, and, you know, once again, it's them doing it half-assed and missing the mark, is that I think they're going more toward a athlete that, for example, gets, you know, busted for steroids. For the rest of their career, they're going to be, hey, you're on steroids, no matter what they do.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, hey, you're the steroid guy. So I think that's where they're going with it, but once again, it's missing the mark. I don't have a problem with Jeff Hardy, you know, saying, hey, I want to talk about this, I want to be a spokesman, but we don't know the narrative between, is this Jeff Hardy pushing this, or if this is creative? Because if this is creative, this fucking sucks, and they need to, you know, whoever thought of it needs to be fired.
Yeah.
If it's Jeff Hardy pushing it, saying, hey, this is what I want, and creative's having a problem, you know, hitting the mark, okay, I can see that at this point. But, you know, once again, we don't know what's going on. But if this is creative brainchild, fuck that guy, needs to be fired.
Yeah,
No, it's
for sure. If it came from creative, they didn't do a good job with it, and if it came from Jeff, they didn't think it through long enough to be able to portray it the way it ought to be portrayed.
Mhm.
So either way, it's kind of like a lose-lose in that regard, where it's like it's just not being done. It's not being done well.
Yeah. To me, the reason like it upsets me when you do it half-assed and when you make someone who is struggling appear fragile, it's just such an overplayed thing. It's in a sense it's stereotyping them, and it's you know I would rather just see Jeff Hardy be Jeff Hardy. I would rather, if you're gonna do this, do it differently. Like, I know it's a weird way to parallel or compare it to other portrayals in media, but one thing that I took away from a New Day podcast episode, and I can't remember when, but it was talking about how persons of color were portrayed in wrestling or portrayed in media.
Yeah.
You don't always have to have the story, you don't always have to have the story of the guy coming overcoming this and that. You can have the story of a guy who struggled and got past this, and it's more in a sense because we're half-assed portraying this traumatic occurrence as we are. These events, what we're doing is telling people, yeah, you never get past that. That, especially since we aren't really getting through it. We just kind of keep falling into it because either we can't do it the right way, we are aware that it's not landing right, so let's try it again, and we just keep going into it,
Well, see, I think where they missed the mark is I think this would be a nice storyline for like the IC belt.
Mm-hmm.
Where he overcame it and then he became the champion. He achieved something. Him just beating up Sheamus in a bar fight, where does that go?
Yeah, where do you go from there?
Just
even then, I think part of the reason why it's just so clearly not being done well is just that this is the storyline they had the last 2 times he came back, and it's like they keep trying to make it get ground, but I think the problem and the concern is, for whatever reason, he relapsed. And if the stress is that much for him where that becomes the focal point of his career and the stress becomes that focus and that's all he can think about and he breaks, then it's also like, well, maybe we just kill that storyline then. Like, why do we keep trying to rehash this? And maybe it, like we said, maybe it is him saying, I can do it this time. I know I can, but whatever. Let's see, in the chat, Splinter Fox says to him that they're forcing Jeff to drink again, and it's kind of sad. WWE should not do that kind of stuff to someone who's been there in the past. George Chop says it might even be Jeff's idea, wants to fight his demons and all that. I don't like it, but I also don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Splinter Fox, again, feeding into the internet narrative. No, it's not Jeff's idea. Creative all the way. Nobody has their own creative. Nobody controls their own creative, but every podcast I've heard or every interview I've heard from people who've worked creative have constantly talked about people having input in their creative, but nobody decides or determines their own creative.
It's a partnership, from what we've heard so much.
But yeah, from what we've heard from all those different ones is they can definitely present you stuff and they can definitely shoot it down, but you also don't have the end of the line to say that we're definitely doing this. I have heard that you can absolutely refuse, but you can't force a thing to happen either. So he could have presented a thing, they could have liked it and thought, oh yeah, we can finally do it this time, and everyone else from the outside looking in is going, I don't know. Dork Chop says maybe they're just trying to kill off Jeff's character because he's going to go to AEW when his contract runs out. I don't know, maybe not. Let's see, Splinter Fox says...
I was going to say, on that topic real quick, AEW has mentioned Jeff's name several times.
Yeah, they talk about Brother Nero and stuff.
Yeah,
Splinter Fox says, could be true. We all know that he will end up there once his run is over. The Hardys versus the Bucks for sure. But I also don't know if that's true either. I kind of thought they were both getting close to the point of wanting to retire, but Matt had changed his mind, and I thought that Jeff was still on the road to retirement. But I mean, I don't know. I just don't know those people, and I think we're all basing this off a lot of rumors. I think it'd be cool, but especially to see the Hardys do what they want to do, but I don't know.
I think the other thing too, like if we're gonna kill someone, and we're gonna use the term "kill someone," then just let them sit.
Yeah.
When WWE is gonna kill someone, make them disappear does a whole hell of a lot more than this. This is in my eyes, it's an attempt at a send off. It's just a shittily done one.
Yeah,
You know?
could be.
Like,
Yeah.
it's. I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like, and I mean, I have something a little bit more, I guess, maybe vested in this story because of my own life with it.
Yeah.
But it just, it just frustrates me. I feel like this, the thing that I keep going back to is it's just like you're portraying this person as this fragile flower or this fragile thing that can't get past this moment. Yeah, they can. You know?
Yeah.
And if you're gonna do that story, fucking do it better. Also, The Miz didn't need this win. Like, truly, like, I think Jeff Hardy needed this win. I'm not saying, like, he's like, in rough going, but The Miz is going to be around. The Miz doesn't need wins. The Miz is a chicken shit heel through and through. He doesn't need the win. Jeff Hardy losing, just kind of, to me, makes it feel like, yeah, we settled the shit about you doing it. You said, yeah, I'll do a bar fight, and then you lost. What is that?
Yeah, it was really weird. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about, as we get into, I mean, we'll talk about Raw. We're also going to talk about Extreme Rules real quick.
Hardy beat Miz.
He did?
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably about right.
You had me second guess myself, so I had to look it up. But yeah, Hardy beat Miz.
God damn it.
Good. He deserved the win. He needed it.
Yeah, he needed the win.
He needed it.
Good.
And
fuck this
real quick,
storyline.
since we're on SmackDown, did you guys see the new promo poster that WWE came out with Bayley
No?
with the Shining? Supposedly WWE.
Oh, Nikki Cross posted that on her own Twitter.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if WWE actually came out with it. I sent it to you guys right now, but I saw it earlier and I was like, "Holy shit, this is cool!" As long, wishing that they would just let Nikki be Crazy Nikki.
Yeah. That'd be cool if it would be Crazy Nikki. Swinner Fox says, if you make the guy stay home and not be seen for a while, he shows up where else and he get a huge pop. Dorkshop says, you guys don't even watch wrestling. Which, I mean, I think that goes either way. I think that at the same time, that same thing would shoot them in the foot. Like, honestly, if... unless I think the Canellises was the best job they ever did at ruining someone. I think that was delightful work. But I think that even if you put Jeff Hardy through this thing and he comes out at the end or loses at the end and pops up somewhere else, he's going to get just the same pop as if he wasn't seen at all, because people are going to be happy to see him somewhere else because they didn't like the storyline he was leaving with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the only way you diffuse his pop is put him in an angle that people like and are excited about, and then they see him somewhere else and go, oh, but that other thing was going to be better. You know what I mean?
But yeah, do you think? Because I was thinking that a little bit earlier when they were talking about it. Do you think they would do? If Jeff Hardy's contract is up and he's leaving for sure, do you think they would do a Randy Orton Legend Killer, Jeff Hardy?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, he would murder him and he'd show up his brother Nero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he's got to marry him. He's got to murder him.
Yeah, but do you think it would play more into AEW's hands if he goes to AEW compared to WWE looking stronger with Randy Orton killing the legend?
I think you get the same thing you got with Matt. The AEW fans were excited. The WWE fans said, fuck, what they're doing with Randy Orton's the best thing on TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Randy Orton's the best heel. Like, bar none. His work is absolutely crazy. But I think that the AEW fans that love every single thing they ever do and think everything will be done right every single time will see a Jeff Hardy and go, oh, now it's going to be everything that we always wanted. They immediately forget anything that was done weird or wrong at any moment.
Yeah.
They're very apologetic of the company and very harsh to WWE, where I'm not apologetic for either company. Fuck them both.
Yeah. They don't pay our salary.
Yeah. They don't even buy me a drink.
Yeah. They could even tell me what to put in my glass tonight.
Man, I can't get into the websites to load here for Raw. On the same topic, though, Heath Slater, Drew McIntyre said on an interview that he had to convince Heath Slater to come in and do that spot last week. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want any part of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he convinced him, and he said that he was talking to his wife. Drew was talking to his own wife about, and she was like, "Oh, remember where you were when they let you go, and how you wanted to move on, and all this." And it's like, oh, he was much in the same spot where he was like, "Just forget it, I'm moving past it." And he said that, appreciate the company for, the money and the exposure and the learning and all that stuff, but I'm going to move on to something else. And Drew convinced him to come back and do that, which I think would 100% explain why he had the promo of a lifetime and then the shittiest match right after, because he was there to serve himself no purpose. So what did he do when they gave him a mic? I'm gonna serve myself my own purpose. I'll do the greatest promo.
I gotta raise my stock.
Yeah, I'm gonna raise my stock and then let you guys do that stupid shit I'm here for.
Yeah.
Which is so perfect, because now no matter where he goes, everyone's gonna fucking blow up.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that was crazy is when they first was announcing, like, oh, somebody that you're close to, I thought 100% they were bringing Jinder out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, here's Jinder. He's on the payroll. They can't bring out Heath because he's not. They bring out Heath, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, okay, cool, he's back.
On the same token, poor Jinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's injured again.
Yeah.
Oh.
So then Heath comes out with that amazing promo, and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. I'm glad he's back. Then he had the match, and I was like, oh, was this a send-off match? And then it's like, fuck, he's not with the company. This is crazy. And it's cool that WWE would bring in somebody that's not under contract, but now to hear that Drew was like, hey, come back, do this for me, kind of makes me hate Drew a little bit more.
He's such an asshole, dude.
And hugs him after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like what a dick. Even the promo starting this thing with MVP and Dolph Ziggler and Drew coming out and saying the stuff he did, the way he says it, like he's coming off like a total asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't understand why anybody's behind him. Splinter Fox says that Rhino's going to get Heath Slater into Impact for sure. I think that Heath Slater can go to any company he wants. I think any company would be stupid not to take him right now.
Mm-hmm.
Rhino or otherwise. If he's friends with Rhino and wants to work with him, sure. But I think it's his pickings. But yeah, I think that Drew is still coming off like a total dick.
Yeah. And at this point in Heath's career, hey, whoever's going to give me the contract, this might and probably will be his last big contract.
That could be. Could be. Let's see. It's going to take a lot more for the Viking Raiders besides doing a promo with a wrestler voice for me to start taking them seriously again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Just it's upsetting. Like honestly, the Viking Raid, like the silliness. I'm okay with the silliness of them going out together, but then it's just such a weird mix,
I just need more matches of the Viking Raiders throwing each other at other people and getting wins quick, and I'll be back on board. But them doing all that goofy shit and talking about the Street Profits being their best friends and stuff, that's not what I want from the fucking War Machine. You know what I mean? Like, you're the Viking Raiders. You're not best friends going mini golfing. So I think it's going to take more than going, oh, hey, for me to go like, oh yeah, I forgot they're serious, they're badass. No, I'm going to need to see you fucking lay some motherfuckers out.
Yeah.
And them taking a loss to Angel and Andrade, who've been firmly placed into the middle of the card, especially because last week Randy Orton pushed them around and punked them out. And the week before that, Big Show punked them out. You've clearly said that Andrade and Angel Garza are on the lower side of the
audio
card.
Cut. That's cool.
Oh my god.
Welcome to show number 1, everyone.
Yep. Welcome to episode 1. Every episode is episode number 1. Last week we were so close to episode 2, but it was not meant to be. We still had episode 1. This week is no different. Episode 1 every week. Thank you for tuning in to episode 1.
I can't hear Marsh. It's not our fault. Can you hear Marsh?
Yes.
God damn it. Yeah, it's me. Give me a
Wait,
second.
can Clump hear Kevlar?
Yeah.
He left. Yeah, because once
You can hear me, right?
responded, he's like, God damn it.
That's what I mean. Let's see. While we're waiting on that a little bit. Dorkchop says, Drew said he wants his character to reflect his real-life personality more, so I guess in his real life he is a big old douchebag. And I think that's probably true. If you watch that chronicle about Drew, where he's chronicling his big return to the WrestleMania and stuff, he comes off like a dick, dude. And even he starts saying stuff, and his girlfriend's all like, his wife is like reminding him of like shit, and he gives this look, and they're like look at each other and all like, he's being a dick. And she just called him out on being a dick, and he goes, yeah, well, sometimes.
Yeah, and when I think about the last one we saw was Ricochet's, it was like a complete 180 of that one. Like Ricochet just seems so grateful to be in front of big audiences. He just seems like the most grateful dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's cool.
Yeah, Ricochet's 24 or 365 was awesome. Splinter Fox says when it came out, or that it came out of Cody's mouth that Heath Slater will not be in AEW, but it could have been a big swerve. Who knows? I think they said the same thing about Zack Ryder, and we haven't seen him either. So, it could be true, but I think that it's. I guess they got to pick and choose who they want and when, but Heath Slater really showed what he can deliver, and I think that it's next level stuff. Let's see. Interested to see where Matt Cardona is going. That's what he says. Yeah. Viking Raiders are now the vaguely Norse buddies. Totally true. Splinter Fox says, imagine if Matt Cardona comes to AEW and is the internet champion, and that title is exclusively for AEW Dark since it's only on the internet. I think we talked about that once too, that they could do that and be good. Because I kind of thought that's what they were going to do with, it wasn't the TNT title, but before the TNT title came out and they were going to have a title, I thought they were going to have a title like that. Dorkchop can't wait for episode 2 whenever it comes out. And Clump is
Me too.
Just, yeah. We're in our second year, and we're still on episode 1. So at this rate, we'll have episode 2. It'll happen. Mm-hmm. What the fuck is going on with Clump? Episode 2, 2021. Who can Clump hear?
God, I don't know if
Clump, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear all you guys.
Oh,
What
well,
is
then
this
say something.
deal?
What the hell?
I said I'm not going to say anything.
You're just gonna get back to your typewriter?
Don't knock my love of mechanical keyboards.
Sounds like Murder She
Your
Wrote over
loudest
there.
keyboard ever?
Yeah. Murder, She Wrote. Clumpy Sharded, I think is the title of that one. Splinter's excited to see where all those free agents are heading, although Rusev is staying in quarantine. He's got the COVID, so...
I'm not sure how Lana doesn't have it.
I'm sure Lana's got so much COVID on her. It's probably all over on the edge of her mouth and shit.
Okay, stop.
Yeah.
She did tweet that her mom is out of the hospital now, so...
Yeah. Lana's whole family has it, and Rusev has it, and she goes, "Oh, I can't believe everything's horrible for me." Like, God, well...
I was like, Rusev hasn't been anywhere.
Yeah. He's very low energy on Twitch as well.
Yeah.
Splinter Fox doesn't think Rusev's going to wrestle again. I don't know, man. I feel like that dude was so into it, and he loves it so much. I wonder if he just won't wrestle for any other company. I wonder if he'll do whatever it takes to get back to WWE, because he's such a WWE fan.
Well,
But I don't know. He doesn't seem all that enthralled right now, and he doesn't seem to be doing much.
on Twitch, he says no one can use the R word except him. So call him Miro.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Miro,
Yeah, well, fuck that. I don't care. I watch old Rusev matches, not old Miro matches. So, and you know what? That's an offensive thing to say on Rusev Day of all days.
Yeah. Okay.
Seriously.
Seriously.
I think Rusev is my example for like when we talk about like somebody like, oh, they should be booked better. I think Rusev is mine where I'll always say, yeah, he's he should have been booked better because
He definitely.
he
Yeah.
put himself into everything. Like, it wasn't like you see situations where, like, yeah, he could have been everything, but he couldn't talk, or he, didn't seem into it. Rusev fucking always tried and put his whole ass in everything.
Yeah.
And
All ass.
yeah.
I'll be right back.
100%. He is one of the ones.
Speaking of whole ass.
God. Oh my God. I can't even get these guys to sit down for one show.
Yeah, Kevlar left.
No wonder we're on episode 1 for so long.
Long-ass shows.
It's
That's
once
why
a
I
week.
bring like a gallon jug in here.
Actually, Dorkchop says that Rusev should be one of the guys that goes to NJPW. I think it's true. He'd be a bad motherfucker over there. It doesn't matter how good your English is.
Yeah, Dorkshot says Miro versus Ishii.
Ishii.
That would be essentially Rusev is the American Ishii.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
I was excited to see Bianca Belair back.
Yep. That was weird.
I liked seeing her with Ruby Riott, but I also think it's a very weird pairing.
I actually like a kind of different style together. I thought it was cool.
It could
'cause-
work. I mean, Aleister
Yeah.
Black and Ricochet work together. Sheamus and Cesaro work together. I mean, they don't have to be similar to work together. It just seemed weird to me.
Well, they're similar in that they're both, I think, excellent in the ring. They're strong. They're both strong. They're excellent technicians. So that's why I was cool with it. I was like, yeah, different style doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're both badasses. So I'm down with it.
100%. 100%. Shayna came back, cut that killer promo, I felt. I thought Raw was actually a much more enjoyable show than SmackDown on a lot of levels. Did you watch Raw, Clump?
I watched a fair amount of it. Yeah, it was a good ass show. I think
The matches were
the
solid. Even though I didn't like Viking Raiders losing, it was a good match. Bianca Belair and Ruby Riott seemed like a weird pairing, but it was otherwise a good match. Although Billie Kay is not good at taking bumps and just about ruined Belair's finish.
Oh, yeah, that was
I'm back.
bad.
Shayna did an awesome job. I thought Seth Rollins was auditioning for a college acting role.
Which is fine.
Acting?
He's got time now.
Yeah.
She's training him.
Yeah. She's like writing monologues for him.
But still, this was better than any of his face stuff.
Oh, 100% better than anything he did as a Universal Champion. But there was definitely, as we're watching, we're like, what is he auditioning for?
I was totally fine with it.
To be or not to be?
Yeah. An eye for an eye, an eye for an eye, eye for an eye, eye for an eye! What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? What could it mean? I know what it means. You know what it means. I know what it means. Shut the fuck. What are you doing?
Leave him alone. Let him do his thing.
I know what it means. An eye for an eye.
Okay.
He was kind of cornholio.
I was
But-
just about to say that. I am Cornholio.
it would be cool
And-
if they made this into like more of just like a Dante's Inferno-esque terrible like story, or just some like great play, and have like Ray just devolve totally into madness and have him just be this utter English not working. Hi.
Yeah, you broke, dude. You broke. You had a stroke. There's fire coming out of your nose.
No, it's coming out my butthole. I had Taco Bell today.
Oh, I want Taco Bell so bad.
Dude, their
Now-
grilled cheese burrito is amazing, but it goes through you like fire.
I know. That's why I'm not allowed to have it. It's bullshit. I kind of
Well,
need
what
that
does
level
it
of cleanse.
have
You know what I mean?
No, you don't.
It's like a chow mein cleanse. You go to Panda Express, you get 2 entrees with one side, all 3 chow mein, and you cleanse. It's the greatest, the chow mein cleanse.
No.
I learned, so the Panda Express in Nogales, they legit do make their orange chicken spicy as fuck, because I thought my mom was, like, being a person from Canada like she is, where she's like, oh, that's really spicy there, you can't have it. But I went and got some... I got some orange chicken. I was like, holy shit, this is hot. I like it.
Yeah, it's spicy.
Yeah, it's like this is a thing. I'm cool with this.
It's cleanse. That's what their whole thing is. Their whole thing is all like, have you been eating shitty for a week? We'll get it out of you.
Wait, did we just switch to Clump's cooking corner?
Yes, we did.
I'm cool with that.
So hot take in the chat. Let's see. He says that Splinter Fox says that he's tired of Seth Rollins and thinks he needs to go away for a while. I actually think this is the best we've seen Seth Rollins, and I want to lean into this gimmick of his because I thought we definitely needed him to go away during the babyface run, and although this promo kind of isolated in that is, I feel like all the other stuff he's done has come off very, very well.
Well, I agree. I think Seth's going away after this match.
You think Seth is going away after this match?
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. Because you know what? I mean, how much further do you go with this gimmick before it becomes, like... I mean, before he's, like, crossed a line or something. I think that there's a good possibility this eye for an eye match is just one big setup so Rey Mysterio can come out in his Daredevil gear.
But I want him to come out in his Louis Vuitton gear.
He'll have no eyes.
And just Louis Vuitton logos.
Yeah. Although, so let's go over this because I mean, the Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy match was awesome and brutal. KO and Seth never disappoint together. R-Truth and Orton was weird. See, there's that backstage stuff. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in here. Oh, and the main event I thought was fantastic. Sasha Banks and Bayley with Kabuki Warriors. How great did Kairi Sane look in this match?
So great.
So
She
good.
looked fantastic.
I'm not a Kairi Sane fan by any means, and I was like, all right, this is probably one of her better matches she's ever put on that I've seen.
And, like, what a reprieve that's been from having her with Nia Jax, who makes her look like shit.
And Charlotte.
And Charlotte, who did nothing for her.
Not getting beat the hell up.
Yeah, I thought Kairi Sane looked so great in this match.
Yeah, I mean, Kairi Sane's kind of been the women's jobber for a little bit.
No, not even, like, just,
I think worse, yeah. I think that she's been being paired with people who don't care to make her look good. People who are more concerned about themselves. And the one thing I've said about Sasha and Bayley is their whole match formula is get the other person to look like they should have won. And in doing so, they end up putting on the best matches with people.
Kairi Sane's just been the rag doll.
Yeah. And I largely, so Splinter says he can now trust the other dude for saying doesn't care for Sane. Yeah, me neither. I've been very vocal about not liking Kairi Sane. I hated her entire NXT run. But I thought that she looked great in this match. Let's see, there's a lot of rumors about her going on right now, too. Clump, are you staying out of this because you didn't watch any of it?
Yeah, like, I just, yeah.
Okay.
I want Kairi. I like Kairi Sane a lot. I've liked her in NXT. I just kind of like, I don't know. Like I feel like she's become like you said, she's become the punting person.
Yeah.
Jobber.
Yeah, you would have liked this one just because she looked really strong in it.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I remember she took the loss, but she looked super strong the whole match.
She did a lot of cool moves.
Yeah, she came out looking like she could kick the shit out of both Bayley and Sasha, and that they got wily with her is all. You know, it was actually really cool to see.
Yeah.
Well, going into this match, as long as Sasha and Bayley retained the titles, you knew Kairi was going to take the loss. Because
But she looked like she was actually putting up a fight.
Yeah.
No, yeah, 100%. But what I'm saying is that, Asuka takes the loss and looks bad for Sunday. Bayley or Sasha taking the loss looks bad for Sunday. Kairi's the only one that has nothing invested on Sunday, so she had to take the loss without, Sasha and Bayley losing the title.
Yeah, and I think that even them all knowing that she had to take the loss, I think that everyone in that match did everything they could to make sure Kairi Sane looked like $1 million. Like she could have single-handedly won. She just didn't on that night.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. And
which I thought was great. I thought it was awesome. Because I think if you'd done the same thing with Charlotte or Nia or almost anyone else, they would have just gone out there and been like, well, let's just beat the shit out of Kairi and take the win and we'll be done. You know?
Mm-hmm. All four of them did great, and I think, everyone said, Kari looked good, and that just goes to the other 3 competitors in the match, helping her take the loss but looking great at the same time.
Yeah, they did a great job protecting her in that. Dorkchop says, with Kari Sane's husband being made NJPW champion, how much more likely is it that she leaves? Splinter Fox points out, wow, dude, that's EO, not Sane. So that was fucked up in the chat, and I had to point that out and put it on the podcast.
Wait, what?
Splinter Fox says, I hope that Sane versus Asuka is for the title as a send-off for Sane, and I agree. If Sane really is leaving, and I haven't seen a ton of stuff that really solidifies that, but rumors and the emotional moment that Kari had at Raw Talk with Asuka, because she looked choked up when she said those things. That's the only indication I have, because we do not subscribe to dirt sheets and buy into them without any kind of confirmation. There's just too much shit that they're just so wrong about so often that when they get one right here and there, I'd rather not care about it anyways. I'd rather not believe all the bullshit just to get one thing right. So I just don't know. But if it is true, and if she is leaving, I do think Asuka Kari is the way to do it. I think it'd be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Kari did just get married, though, and hasn't been back. That's true. What? Yeah. Let's see.
Angela Lansbury over there on her fucking typewriter.
Kari did just get married right before COVID hit and hasn't been back since. And yeah, I guess that's part of the rumor stuff. Splinter says, I really want a Sane versus Asuka as her send-off match. Please, W, just let her leave in a good way. She's looking to retire soon. She deserves it all for all those botches. And Waffle House says, hey, y'all. What up, Waffle House? Cheers. Thanks for coming through. What are you drinking?
And hey, GR Luna.
And GR Lunar's sneaking in there. Just going,
hey.
What? GR Lunar doing his best Stone Cold in the chat.
Waffle House, do you put syrup on your hash browns?
Don't say anything offensive.
Oh, drinking Miller Lite.
Never mind.
Yeah, Mark Cardona and Heath Slater both had that same tweet, and I wonder. And also, I mean, just know that in this current climate, just because they show up to an Impact event doesn't necessarily mean that they're signed to Impact. Right now, a lot of people are just trying to get a little bit of work here and there, so I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, especially look at AEW. How many people have they had on their TV who did not sign? So I think that there's a very good chance they will show up on Impact. I don't know if that means that they're signed there, but I am excited to see what they do. GR Lunar said he came in as we said that Kari was engaged to Evil, and that upset me. That's because it's not true. She's engaged to somebody else. And Waffle House says they put hot sauce on their
My man.
hash browns.
That's how you're supposed to eat hash browns.
Yeah, it was a trick question. It was a setup.
Yeah. You passed. Come back for episode 1 next week.
Splinter Fox is trying to put Kevlar on blast, saying he could care less for Sane. Let's see. Just reading a comment. Yep. So I think that it does lead into Extreme Rules. I think there's a lot of cool ways it could go. Maybe we'll post our all in all predictions before we go before they go live. But I don't want to bring up, is it just me, or are they really stacking a bunch of cinematic matches on this one? Because we got the Swamp House, we got a bar fight, we have a you rip your eyeball out of its fucking socket fight. I mean, that's 3 right there, but I felt like there was another one. I'm rolling through here real quick to look. You guys, nothing?
I can't think of anything offhand.
I was just like looking down. Oh, I woke up.
Dart. I just got an alert for something for $229 I didn't buy.
Just click no.
I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to figure the fuck out.
Just put your social in and go from there. It'll all sort itself out.
No, it posted. That's the thing.
Oh, did it?
Oh.
Shit. Damn.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, what the fuck is this?
So I think that's 3 matches that have been announced that sound potentially cinematic. The swamp match is definitely going to be cinematic. Bar fight to me sounds like it's not happening in a ring, so probably cinematic. And ripping someone's eye out of their head sounds like it's going to need movie magic to accomplish, so therefore, to me, cinematic. Do you think they're kind of stacking a bit heavy on there? Because I think they've been doing one on their pay-per-views has been a good formula, personally. I do think that... I don't know that you can go back and forth, and I think WrestleMania was also a testament to that, right? They ended both of them with... both nights with cinematic matches, because how are you going to go from that back to the ring? Seems like kind of a lot in one thing.
Which one's the bar fight?
Bar fight is Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Are we excited about that? Because I'm not.
No, I mean, I'm curious how they're going to shoot it.
Yeah.
But I'm not, like, excited to see the match. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, this is the match I've been wanting, but I'm all like, I really want to see how they shoot a bar fight. You know? Do you guys think that 3 is too much?
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with the bar fight if you have APA appear.
That's what I was going to say. We need Farouk and
Oh, that'd be so good. Also, how did Lunar spot my chair? I'm sitting in it. How do you see it?
Oh, you must have moved.
Did I move?
Nice
Waffle says 3 is way too many. I do think it's way too many. And it sounds like you guys just have no fucking thoughts on it.
I was getting there, but we got sidetracked.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, I do think 3 is too many. I think 2 in one night kind of pushes it, because one's going to outshine the other no matter what. So if you have 3, it just muddies up everything. And I think, just like we were talking about on Smackdown, where they re-aired the Bray versus Braun match from, was it WrestleMania, they thought?
No, Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank. You know, they did the same thing, you know, a few weeks ago when they re-aired the Boneyard match. And I think they're just banking on, hey, people are liking this, let's run with it. And I think, like you said, 3 cinematic matches in one night is going to be over.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be too much. I mean, even look at, what was it? Backlash. We had the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits in a cinematic match, and then we had the greatest wrestling match ever, which was cinematic-esque, and even that felt like it was kind of pushing it. Mm-hmm. Especially with them putting the ninja fight in the middle. I don't know. Waffle House says that Jeff Sheamus could easily go without being cinematic. Swamp obviously has to be. I don't know how you could do a bar fight and not have it be semi-set. I mean, it's got to be. I don't know how you do it off-site and not do it cinematically the way they're doing it now. Let's see. Joe Lunar's got this new cherries going on about. And Splinter Fox says he's going to say it now. Impact's pay-per-view will outshine the WWE pay-per-view. I don't know. It depends. Is Impact going to have someone's eyeball ripped right out of their fucking head? Because I think people are going to talk about that, good or bad. I think if it goes horribly, more people are going to talk about it. And if it looks legit, shitloads of people are going to talk about it. I think that rip an eyeball out.
Either way, people are going to talk about it.
Yeah, people are going to talk about this eye for an eye match. If it shits the bed, everyone's going to be talking about how horrible it was. Because they've set up the weirdest stipulation of all time of you must remove an eyeball from its socket to win the match. And everyone's going, the fuck? Yeah. So everyone wants to know how it's going to play out. Where I think, I don't know that there's anything on the Slammiversary card that anybody's talking about yet. It's not to say it can't become a thing, but I don't think anybody's talking about it other than who's going to appear. And if your whole gimmick is who's going to appear, who didn't work here before, I don't know that's going to create as much buzz as ripping an eyeball out of its head. I'm not saying it's not going to be good. I'm just saying you have Heath Slater and Zack Ryder show up on a pay-per-view, and on the other pay-per-view you have someone with a dangling eyeball. There's one picture's going to go around more than the other.
I hope it's like Demolition Day where they pull it out with a friggin' scalpel.
Tony Khan was talking about it?
They influenced.
Yeah, Tony Khan's taking credit for the eye match. Apparently there was some sort of similar named match with Moxley and Santana. I don't remember it. But I'm sure it happened. I mean, they had a picture. So
Yeah, I saw a picture of them that have patches, eye patches.
yeah, they were wearing eye patches. I don't know how it turned out, but Moxley probably won because I don't think he's lost anything.
Oh,
Do you think this is WWE's attempt once again of saying, "Hey, we can do something better than you"?
Maybe. If you want to do eye for an eye, an eyeball should be ripped out, son.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying. They've been very catty at this point in time.
Oh, yeah. They've been petty as shit. Dorkchop was even at that match. He said it was fun, but a dumb stip. Did anybody lose their eye? That's what I'm trying to find out.
I highly doubt it because they still have their eyes today.
They have all their eyeballs. It's fucked up, man. Let's see.
All 5 of them.
Oh, interference happened. Do you think that's how they get out of this? I hope not. I hope we get a weird image of a dangly eyeball. Waffle House stopped watching TNA during the Aces and Eights. No idea about that anymore. Yeah, Schmaz finish on that one. And
I think Fox needs to come in with the eye versus eye match and bring out the Simpsons 3-eyed fish.
that'd be good. Fish eye versus fish eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoever wins this match is walking away with a normal fish.
Yeah.
I think that's all I had topic-wise in general. Clump, what do you think about them doing 3 cinematic matches?
I'm okay with it. I mean, like, I think you need to have the right amount of humor with it, the right amount of, like the bar fight has to have the APA in it. You got to make it silly to an extent, not like over the top. But I'm kind of excited for that because I liked Money in the Bank. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And that to me, that was only one cinematic match, but that was a long cinematic match, so that counted for like 2 or 3 matches.
Yeah.
Stone Cold has to make an appearance too.
Yes.
Who?
Like he's got to be the special referee.
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold. Or at least if they're in the bar, they should have a bunch of those IPAs behind them. Just there.
Those delicious broken skulls.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Which we finally found.
Yeah, we found them here in Arizona and
In town.
And so for 4th of July, my birthday week, producer got a dozen cans. They're sold in 4-packs, and she's like, give me all of them. And I just spent the whole week drinking them. It was great. Let's see. GR Lunar says that Ray should continue with the one-eyed gimmick even after he leaves WWE. I think the mask looks so dope with that one eye. Splinter Fox says pro wrestling fans are going to talk about Impact, casual fans are going to talk about WWE. Maybe. I don't know if that's a diss. I mean, if it weren't for the casual fans, we probably wouldn't have WrestleMania, which is pretty dope. And Royal Rumble.
SummerSlam. Survivor Series.
SummerSlam. Yeah, those are geared towards the casual fan. And they make the most money. I feel like the casual fan is not a bad thing. But we're going to see. It's also going to be if Tom Savini is a part of this eye gouge business.
I hope so. If not, at the least, I want Robinson to have some of his collection out.
You want him to have a mask out?
He's got some crazy, cool horror stuff.
All right.
Not horror stuff, horror stuff.
Horse. Splinter says that he bets that Dominic's going to lose the eye is a total swerve.
I was thinking about Dominic being involved in it somehow.
I think he's going to be involved somehow. I hope that Ray is holding down Seth and Dominic rips out the eye with like his mouth or something.
I really want Dominic
sucks
to
it out.
get some care.
Yeah.
Spits it to the side.
Yeah. Producer's pissed that Dominic just looks like a kid in a t-shirt.
An oversized t-shirt. Like, I want him to, if he's going to be in any of these matches or anything, I want him to have some sort of look.
Yeah. Dorkchop says he wants someone's eye to pop out like Arnold, and then says maybe Dominic already has a glass eye. I mean, we have not established that. And if someone's already got a glass eye who's in the match, how easy would this match become? Can you imagine they're putting together the match? Like, we're going to do a match where someone's got to pop their eye out, and everyone looks at the one guy with a glass eye, and he goes, oh, come on.
I didn't know you guys signed PCO.
Yeah. The hell,
By the
man.
way, in the midst of all that, Kevin Owens made a great PCO reference.
Oh, it was so funny.
Yeah, I was like, that's great.
Yeah. Oh, I thought
That would be
KO and Seth
awesome.
did great together.
Yeah. Please have PCO just appear. I'm cool with it. That would be my favorite.
Well, he's French Canadian PCO.
Yeah.
So there's every reason to believe that Kevin Owens could know him.
I mean,
Small country.
province, but
Yeah, but if they were all on the indie wrestling scene at the same time going through, they would have connected and been like, "Oh yeah, we're from the same
PCO
town."
trained him.
That's what I mean. Like, there's no reason to think that they don't know each other. And so for him to pull out that eye patch, that was so funny. And Seth's all like, "You think it's funny?" He's like, "I do. I do think it's funny."
Trained him. Yeah, no, he was trained by PCO.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It was Pierre Carl Oulet.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Perfect Creation 1. PCO.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for us. Yep.
Wow.
Whoa. Whoop.
False start.
Oh, bottoms up.
You didn't even finish the bottle.
I didn't even finish this one. Whoop. Oh.
Well, we gotta continue the show. Let's go. What else we gotta talk about?
Yeah, Kev's like, I can't go in the other room. My kids are being loud and annoying. We gotta keep this going. I think that's it. Was there anything else you guys wanted to touch ground on before we left?
Hmm.
You said mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that means yes.
Mm-mm. No. Mm-mm. I think we're good.
I think that's a stretch.
Yeah.
We're
He's
pretty
fair.
bad at this.
Yeah. He's...
We'll get there.
Yep.
No,
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming through. Check us out, WrestlingOnTheRocks.com, for all of our links. Give us a follow. Put the I in subscribe. Put the I in Twitch Prime. Give us a drink. I need it to get through this show. I've been working on episode 1 for a year and a half. We all have. Dorkchop says, see y'all next week for episode 1 again. And we will be doing this all over again next week, episode 1. The same as this week, episode 1. Thank you guys for coming through. I think that's last call. Bottoms up, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
See you guys.
Salute.